Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Citywide Sports Park in the beautiful city known as the Forest City for what is the marquee matchup of the week in the Ontario Football Conference. Top 5 teams in the CGFL going at it in the Battle of the Undefeateds, Ron Forwarda, and the St. Clair Fratmen taking on the London Beefeaters. It's all on tap here on Beefs TV. Thanks for joining us all around the world at CGFL.tv. Ronnie, as I mentioned, this is a battle of CGFL power ranking titans. It's a battle of the undefeateds in the OFC. Oh, yeah. A rematch of the 2021 OFC Championship, which saw the most epic comeback in Canadian football history as far as I'm concerned. Down 14-0 with less than 3 minutes left. The Beefeaters came back to win it the most Canadian way possible, Ron Forwarda. A walk-off rouge to capture the OFC Championship. That took place at Acumen Stadium last November. Turn the clock all the way ahead to 2022, and here we are, the Battle of the Undefeateds.
Well, here we go again. Same song, same dance. The number 2 ranked St. Clair Saints, the number 4 ranked London Beefeaters. First time these guys are playing against each other. Really, this is going to be a battle of heavyweights. This is also going to be a battle of contrasting styles. Today, St. Clair likes to push the ball down the field. London has really changed their tone, much more of a power run offense under first-year head coach Matt Snyder, as we're just waiting for O Canada.
We'll get into the battle of the quarterbacks, but we got the national anthem right now from Citywide.
Our home and native land, to patriot love, in all of us command, with glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Jan Annan, who's also part of the ownership of the London Beefeaters, taking us through the national anthem before this 5 p.m. kickoff between the Saints and the Beefeaters, a battle of the undefeateds here on Beefs TV.
Yeah, you know what we were talking about a little bit earlier today. First-year head coach Matt Snyder, someone who I know quite well, someone who you know quite well as well, Johnny. Much more of a power-running style of offense. Really believes in running the ball, really inflicting his will, their Beefeaters' will on their opponents. Neither team, this will be interesting, neither team have trailed at any point during the season. Both these teams have had absolute blowout victories in their 3 wins each. So I think this is really going to be a telltale story today. Which team can maybe weather the storm and survive at the end?
Let's face facts, though. These two teams are 3-0, yes, a combined 6-0 record. They're technically a 3-0 combined record against the Quinte Skyhawks, the basement of the OFC, including the Saints coming off of an 84-14 victory over those Quinte Skyhawks in last week's competition, where the Beefeaters feasted on the GTA Grizzlies in a 43-7 victory as the kickoff is away in the Battle of the Undefeateds. The return for the Beefeaters coming up through midfield. A chance here for a healthy return. It is Jordan Wright continuing to rumble. Wright finding a seam, cutting over to the near side now, and then coming back over. Or I apologize, that's Keegan Cardona. Keegan Cardona takes this one all the way back, roughly 99 yards from the goal line all the way to the 11-yard line. You couldn't beg for better field positioning to start this game.
Well, talk about putting your mark on the game early. Another trait of a Matt Schneider coached team is their emphasis on special teams. Matt believes that they're going to have the best special teams in the province. This is a great indication of what they put into time and effort into this game, as we're about to get a taste of one of our favorite players, the Tasmanian Devil, Tazzy Vangbell.
Starting offensive line for the Beefeaters includes left tackle Madawi, left guard Mason, the center is Leg, right card and right tackle. First snap offensively of the game is a handoff to the Taz Vang Bell machine. And, well, Taz Vang Bell has a decent carry for a guy 8 yards, 26 rushes, and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, and again, this is really being a two-headed monster. Rushing attack. LJ Dyer, Tazzy Vang Bell really leading the way for these guys.
Just strong with a 105-yard kick return touchdown that tied a Beefeaters record.
Yeah, again, this is a really dynamic offense. They believe in running the ball.
Just forced under pressure. That looked like a bit of a halfback screen now. Taz Vang Bell sold that one, but it bounced off the carpet.
Yeah, you're going to have an incomplete pass there. Unfortunately, they're trying to set up the screen. This is what also another point that the old fratmen, the Saints, like to do. They want to get up the field. Their defensive line is a up the field type of defensive line. They like to get after you on second down.
So they're going to bring out the field goal unit here, though, Ron. A.J. Williamson went 2 for 5 on the field goals last week, went 1 of 2 from the 20 to 30-yard range, and 1 across the citywide sports park. Snap and the hold is good, but this is blocked. It rolls into the end zone. I believe Billy Patterson Jr. was the man to get the piece of it. But regardless, with the ball laying dead in the end zone,
back.
I still put that on Williamson, though, partner, because the kick was just way too low in its trajectory.
Well, there was something going on with the snap. He tried to pull that down. I don't know if it was on the puck or not. I don't know if he had it set. There was something going on here. We were having a discussion there. It was definitely blocked from the interior. Now, the Beefeaters recovered it in the end zone. It's going to be first down for the Saints.
The last time the Beefeaters played here at Citywide Sports Park, Williamson went 2 for 2 on field goals.
Offside against the St. Clair Saints.
And let's start cutting through the elephant in the room, partner. The reason why we keep referring to him as the fratman is they used to be called the AKO fratman for years and years, decades and decades. In fact, last OFC team to CJFL championship.
Yep.
That was the AKO fratman representing. But yes, now they've taken on the St. Clair moniker, moved over to the St. Clair College. Beautiful. It's the Saints of the New.
Actually affiliated with college. So all the other teams are independently owned and operated. The Saints they believe it's an advantage. They are affiliated with the college, as we're about to see some stuff going down here.
To that point, though, Quinty, the Skyhawks, which are actually named after the parachute troopers out of the Trenton, Ontario, they play out of Loyalist College in Belleville, so there might be more of an OCAA connection as this league wears on.
Yeah, it is something that...
There's officiating is concerned, because it looks like the Beefeaters are going to hang on to this ball here, partner, and have another shot at it. So somehow it still remains third down. The sticks moved backwards, but still London ball.
Okay, well...
Your guess is as good as mine. Regardless, A.J. Williamson will get another crack at it here from the 25-yard line on the near hash. Snap and hold appears to be good, and this one is through the uprights. Man, the torpedoes. The first points are up.
Good start for the Beefeaters. Set the tone early with the big return there for the Beefeaters. I believe the Saints are declaring to take the ball at the 35-yard line, so it's going to be first down for the Saints here. No, they are electing to have the ball kicked now.
Well, to be honest with you, if I was the Saints coaching staff, of course I would want the ball kicked to me. Why? Well, they have a gentleman named Dante Lewis. Not only has he caught 163 yards on as far as a receiver is concerned this year, importantly, he's got 2 punt. He can do it when you give him some real estate, that runway, as we like to recall.
Yeah, and he was in Canada at the CJFL level. His teams on the board here, but a lot of new players, not a lot of new blood coming in as well.
So once again, let's go over that drive a little bit, a little bit, and I'm sure Saints fan knowing that well during that championship game, 14-all, final minute of play, the Beefeaters.
The Saints do not want to relive as that game, but talk about a magical 2 minutes and 23 seconds that it was last year between these two games, between these two teams. These two teams, bitter rivals at all levels. You know, London, Windsor, you can have a croquet match going on, and those two teams are not going to like each other.
Andrew Bush, 6 touchdowns and 1 interception on the season. Is going to hand this one off to start this game. Great cut to the near side, and is that Tyler Thompson laying down the boom?
It absolutely is. Tyler Thompson playing the outside linebacker position. Great job scraping over the top there. And that's Willie Moboku, the defensive back.
Okay, and it was actually Boris Wright and 1 touchdown. So his first carry of this game gets them a healthy gain of 4.
Yeah, big gain on that. Willie Moboku, who didn't play for the Beefeaters last year, tried his hand on the East Coast. Good to see him back as a returning player for the Beefs this year.
Bush into the shotgun, has 2 run to the line. Season with an 82-0 victory over the Quinte Skyhawks, mainly going through aerial assaults. In fact, the aerial assaults continued in week 2 when they were thumping the Hamilton Hurricanes by 20-6. However, we saw last week again against Quinte in Loyalist College in Belleville, Ontario, in that 84-14 win. They started to, diversify their portfolio a bit, Ron, and go to more of a run game. We saw it there in the opening drive, but it looks like the punting unit is coming out.
Yeah, the punting unit's coming out for the Saints. I'm going to call them the Frames.
Fratman. Wow, that's well, we call them that for 30.
Yeah.
And back there right now was Preston Knight. This will be a 17th punt of the season, averages 32.3 yards, and has a bit of a gust coming across the field. Almost coming in there was Gammy Kazadi, but this one rolls down on the carpet back to the 40. Beefeaters coming back the other way with a head of steam. Got to watch out for a bit of a horse collar, if you ask me there, partner. It's John Baya getting hauled down.
Yeah, you got 2 separate flags on this. You're going to have a block.
Baya looks down to, let's face it.
Yeah, he definitely got inside the cylinder and changed his direction on a downward definition of a horse collar tackle. So this is going to be going up for the Beefeaters. Personal foul, horse collar. There you go.
Ethan Chambers came into this game, partner, 14 of 32 passing for 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but he does have an additional 80 yards on the ground with 7 carries and 3 touchdowns. He's going to get his second chance to come back out here after getting a field goal. Only
not really, again, it's a quite windy, gusty day. The Saints do a really good job of getting upfield. That's where you're trying to call a screen pass early to get them to back off some of that pressure. But I want to see the Beefeaters establish the run. This is what they want to do.
Well, in keeping to that run adjective, the St. Clair Saints almost did it there,
Yep.
Ron. Have 9 interceptions. Williams and Ryan Najim both have 2.
Very dynamic defensive backfield for the Saints.
Change on the money. It's Josh Allen, who already leads this team with 12 total tackles. Oh, yeah. He already got back to the line of scrimmage this time.
No, they're going to park. They're going to mark them back. It's almost at the 49-yard line.
Well, then give Josh Allen his second sack of the season, partner.
But unfortunately, we have the Saints offside. We're going to move it up 5 yards and replay first down.
I know London fans are going to like me saying this because they got those new Under Armour fancy white uniforms, but it's green. So here we are at Citywide Sports Park. Again, thanks for joining us here in OFC Conference. Well, week three play action. Looked like a bit of a hold there in the backfield. Instead, a chance to catch it. It comes in and out of the hands of Mitchell Spence, but looking back in the behind that play, partner, I totally thought that Ahmed Madawi got way too much of the St. Clair Fratman, or St. Clair Saint, I should say, penetrating the line.
Yeah, what you've got here, you've just of the open end of the going Beefeaters face right. Ball, I think. Hung up a little bit.
Chambers had an opportunity to do some damage now. Trying to send the Saints to bite. Instead, he threw Mitchell Spence.
Mentioned Mitchell Spence. Unfortunately, we're going to mention his name next. Side trying to get the freeze call. Move it back 5 yards. Now it's going to be 2nd and 10 for the Beefeaters.
Well, it wasn't Mitchell Spence, but it was Spencer Foster with that 41-yard touchdown that Saints fans will forever remember from that OFC final.
Yeah, and again, talk about a game that was just completely. I think they might have got the Beefeaters for the receiver coming down the line. He might have caught him upfield a little bit early on that.
Are you shocked to see Chambers air this often this early, knowing that the St. Clair Saints have 9 interceptions from 7 different players over the first 3 games?
They're jamming the box inside. How do you beat an 8-man box? You got to get them to loosen up and get that 8th man out of that box. And
that way you can get the Tasmanian Devil spin.
5 yards. It is offside against the Beefeaters. Penalty line. Down, and the Beefeaters are going on into this wind.
So that'll allow A.J. Williamson to come out yet again. If you go back to that game against the Quinty Scott the last time we broadcast here on Beefs TV, Williamson only had to punt 4 times, partner, despite his backup Centino also punting twice.
Yeah.
He punted for 187 yards that time. That was 46.7 yards per punt.
Yeah, this kid's got our.
Have to catch it on the run around the 5-yard line. The flag is on the as he sprints out of bounds.
Yeah, you got an illegal block downfield, probably about the 15-yard line. I figure this is going to go back half the distance of the goal, and it's going to be first down for the Saints. But it was a pretty blatant, pretty obvious one to me.
So Saints last game, they win by 70. But how did they do that, Ron? Well, with 500 by Quinty, and the score was, 14-7 after the first quarter. Nothing at half. But then you look, or sorry, I apologize. It was 14-7 after the first quarter. They outscored 21-0 in the second quarter, 35-0 in the third quarter to really hammer it out. And as I was mentioning, Dante Lewis had 2 receiving touchdowns plus a 65-yard punt return TD.
So far, the Beefeaters got the early points going into the wind, and they're able to, as you can hear in the headsets, the wind really
right on
up.
cue. Right away.
Yeah, kind of a sloppy start here to the start of this game.
Yeah, they
John.
He's got 50 on 11 carries and 1 touchdown, but before they could even sprint out of the gate, the officials flagged the play down.
So the ball's on the 1 right now. 10-11 left to go first quarter. But I was saying, John, Beefeaters have done a good job of holding the Saints down there.
Well, the Saints come in with a quarter, and they're pressured to almost give up 5 here.
Yeah, and that's something that you got to be looking at.
Official respots the ball.
Okay.
By the way, the starting.
They declined the penalty. They took the yard. I don't understand. I didn't see a play.
Looked like a Beefeater jumped on the line. Bush is surrounded, back in the pocket, crushed down in the end zone. But however, despite the fact that Count of Oaks didn't get out of the end zone, I think this penalty is
against London. This is going to be an off. Beefeaters trying to get an early jump on that. They got them on that second call, or that freeze call that everyone loves to do. Try to get an aggressive.
Like is left guard. It's Jaden Kaskin. The center today is Simone Keck. Right guard AJ's
offensive line for the Saints. Really good dynamic receivers out there. It all starts finishes with Dante Lewis. Games like, but they're
Hydra they have in the backfield. That was Gerald Pappin. They also have Boris Wright, who we've already seen in this game. And we haven't seen yet MJ Doyle Marshall. He's also got a rushing touchdown on 9 rushes.
Yeah, that the gentleman that just carried the ball on that big number 32 Pappin, 6'2", 250 pounds, and then again much smaller, littler back, caught in the backfield, dragged down. It's going to be close to a first down. I think it was stopped in the backfield by our buddy, number 11, Tyler Thompson, the linebacker.
It was Boris Wright on the carry, as I mentioned before, already averaging 11 yards per carry. That didn't look like an 11-yard carry on that affair, though.
No, gain of about 2, bringing up third down, long 1 here for the Saints.
Do you go for it?
I believe that they're going to go for it. The Canadian game, you gotta count
to Tyler Thompson or a Dylan Clark to step feeder side of the ball. Bush
straight ahead
on a bit of a. I don't know if he got it. Everybody pointing at each other, including right to the Beefeaters, saying it's our ball.
Saints, so they
nose of the chinny chin chin, and the Saints keep moving in the right direction here on the road, looking to improve to 4-0 to start off. In the action to finally bring the big man down.
Yeah, and again, good job of just simple outside zone play over to the left-hand side there. Or excuse me, over to the right. Get them outflanked at the point of attack. Good. John brings up second down.
6.5 minutes to go here in the opening quarter. The only score of the game remaining in this first quarter. It was a 25-yard field goal from A.J. Williamson. So next time has a man. It is caught, and reeling it in is Jared Hayes Williams, the 60 catches, 291 yards coming into this game, and 4 TD catches.
At 6'2" on those out patterns just about every time, just as a simple, that's just a speed out for 7 yards. You needed 5, got the first up in this play by the Saints.
Last week, Jared Hayes Williams had 5 catches for 100. As Bush is going to go back to the run attack. It's Vokes, but nowhere to go. Sandwich at the 35.
Yeah, that was led by linebacker number 20 and number 11, I believe Thompson, and Beefeaters got penetration on that play.
When again, I know it's ancient history, partner, but we look back to the last encounter. Despite the fact that St. Clair went 2-0 against the Beefeaters during the regular season, they only led 3-0 at halftime, 5-0 after 3 quarters of play, and yet here we are in yet another kicking game.
Yeah, it's such a huge part of the Canadian game. Taking a shot downfield, trying to hit that out, and he does.
Once again, hey, if it's there, why not? Eventually tackling him down is Marcelo Da Silva. No, not before, though, Jared Hayes Williams with his second catch of the night.
Again, that's a mismatch, okay? You're starting from the Y position, which is the inside receiver on the field side, and you're just running that long out. It is the hardest play, it is the hardest pattern to cover in the Canadian game, because you have to defend the upfield post, the fly, and the out, and there's so much room, and it's such a disadvantage for the defensive back or the linebacker that's tracking him.
And I mentioned that Hayes Williams had 2 touchdowns last week against Quinty. In the first week, also against the Skyhawks, he had 2 touchdowns on 70 yards catching. This time it's the run, not going down right away, keeping this play alive, and in fact securing the ball all the way up to the 40-yard line. One heck of a gander that time from Kean Vokes.
Yeah, Vokes just a straight ahead on this. You know, I think the Beefeater runs right past him on that. They've got a free guy coming right off the end, and he just blew right past them. Just a good job of stepping in, following your block, staying nice and low,
to tie this one up at 3 with $1:40 left in the opening quarter. The kick is up. And there you go. We're tied up at 3s with 1:38 remaining in the first quarter.
Really impressive drive by the Saints. 109 yards is basically the distance they had to go. Didn't quite get the 109, but probably got about a good 85 of it. End up kicking the field goal, the 25-yard field goal. And now, with the wind in their face, do you take the ball on the 35-yard line, or do you allow, the Saints to kick the ball? After that last return I had, I kind of want them to kick me the ball.
Yeah, both teams, especially here in this early OFC season, have proven that if they're going to do damage, it's not just going to be done with the offense. Defense is going to chip in too with some fumble recoveries and interceptions. But special teams playing a major factor for both these two teams, not just the kickers and Knight and Williamson respectively, but I'm talking about the returners too.
Yeah, the return games, special teams in the Canadian game, it is literally a third of the game. It is so important for these guys to establish themselves on special teams. I can't stress it enough, and I know Coach Snyder lives and breathes this kind of stuff. He absolutely loves coaching special teams. They absolutely do a fantastic job. They work on it so much during practice.
So Preston Knight, after hitting the field goal to tie this game up, has the ball roll off the peg on the 35. He'll go back to set it up here. Is it a shock to you that we're in a 3-3 ball game, given what happened back in November in Windsor in the OFC Championship game?
Not really, to be honest with you, John. I expected kind of a feeling out process. These are kind of the top teams that we've got going on here.
False start, they would call that, or what is it, a fault in tennis? I've been watching the U.S. Open a lot.
Yeah, a little bit of tennis fault there.
They couldn't double fault, though, as the returner this time, well, it's not 99 yards, but still a pretty decent return from Keegan Cardona to send his offense back onto the field. Now it'll be the third drive of the game for the Beefeaters. You saw the 11 yards kind of result in a field goal. The last one, they kind of booted the ball away. Well, what would you expect or want to see out of the offense this time around?
Knowing Coach Matt, they're going to come out, they're going to run the ball, they're going to run the ball.
Some power?
A little bit of power, a little bit of power, a little bit of kick-out block. Let's see if their big fullback, he's not in there. Curtis Fortune's not in there right now, so they have the other guy in there right now.
That's right. Behind him is Wilson and Ruby, by the way, as going up the field with a head of steam is number 82 on this time.
Yeah, Connor marched the receiver, just a little step off screen. So again, how do you get pressure to dissipate? Get the ball out of your quarterback's hands quick. Does a good job of getting upfield, 4 yards. Your playbook's wide open, second down.
Starting defensive line for the Saints at defensive end is Keon Granton, Octavian Fania at nose tackle, Lorenzo Blake at defensive tackle, and Teenan Bray Miller at the other end.
Uh-oh. He's loose.
Little Taz Van Bell action through midfield, past the 40. There goes the sprinters. Skips past one more tackle, pushed out of bounds around the 20-yard line. Oh me, oh my, the Tasmanian Devil got loose.
Yeah, the Tasmanian Devil. There you go. You've got the slice coming across. Follow the puller on this. The puller, the backside guard, does a great job of looping across. Tazzy does a good job hesitating and sticking his nose up, getting north-south, and there's that sprinter speed. What did he run, 4.65 at the Combine this year?
Averaged 9.5 yards per carry, on 26 carries coming into this game.
And we see...
There's a a Saint, I gotta say.
A Saint down on that.
Billy Patterson Jr., who had a big play earlier. In fact, I think it was Billy Patterson Jr. that got his bear paw in the original Williamson field goal attempt to begin this game.
Yeah, quite possible. And he was actually the one that pushed Van Bell out of bounds on that as well, as after the big run. This is what.
So a couple times he saved the Saints from points.
Yeah, but now we see a little bit more of the power guy in LJ Dyer. Not quite the sprinter spree that Tazzy has, but a little bit more pop when he runs the ball as well. So Chambers coming back in the huddle, 22 seconds left to go, first quarter, 3-3 ball game here from Citywide Field. LJ Dyer the tail, fullback offset to the right.
Are they going to give it to Dyer? Yes, they do. Dyer trying to break through the original line of scrimmage. You know what? It was Keon Granton, the linebacker that just got a piece of him slowed him up enough that the rest of the green jerseys were able to gobble him up.
Yeah, but there's you see the difference. Tazzy runs away from people. LJ wants to be a little bit more physical at the point of attack. He doesn't quite have the sprinter speed. LJ Dyer is very, very fast, but a little bit lower, a little bit more pop to him when he runs. Good gain, about 7 yards on this, as this will be the last play of the first quarter.
Barring a penalty, though, partner.
Barring a penalty.
Which our last broadcast, me and Mr. Stenning, I think this happened 3 or 4 times. They had to play 3 or 4 last plays. We'll see if that happens this time, though, as Chambers takes a bit of a high snap, is going to hand it off to his running back, tries to go off to the near side. It is LJ Dyer, but I believe that was Lorenzo Blake hammering him down in the Saints uniform.
Yeah, met with a herd of Saints on that. Good gain of about 4 or 5 yards on that.
Good enough for the first down.
First down, and that's the end of the first quarter. 3-3, Johnny. Quite an entertaining first quarter of football.
So thanks for joining us here on Beefs TV. He's Ron Forwerda. I'm Jonathan Urbanowicz. Let's take a quick gander at the CAJFL Power Rankings. Ooh, it's bright. It's so bright that the Okanagan Sun can be seen here. They're 5-0, number 1 in the league right now, followed by the Fratmen at number 2. Regina Thunder come in at number 3. Your Beefeaters are at number 4. The West Shore Rebels with a 4-1 record are at number 5. And the only other OFC team to crack the top CJFL 10 is the Ottawa Sooners with their 2-1 record at number 10.
Yeah, the Sooners, we'll get to see them in a few weeks here as well.
By the way, the Langley Rams, who were not in the CJFL Power Rankings the last time we did a broadcast here on Beast TV, the defending champions, which surprised me, are back in the top 10 despite the fact that they have a 2-3 record.
Very solid team. The team that for me that's not in the top 10, that was in the top 10 at the start of the season, the Saskatoon Hilltops.
Correct, sir.
They were number 2 at the start of the season when I first looked at the rankings.
And now they've got 2 losses on their record. Chambers gets the offense cooking here. They're going to hand this one off to Taz Vang Bell. Vang Bell swallowed up by the Green Monster to the right side. He'll gain a couple yards still in the process.
Still in the process. It's going to be about second down from about the 7-yard line, it looks like here, John. Yeah, ball's on the 7. Nowhere really to go on that run there. Good job by the Saints. Absolutely scraping across, taking away that power.
Knowing that these two teams play each other on September 10th, that's going to take place at Acumen Stadium, the St. Clair Barn. Do you show all your cards in this game?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, you want to establish yourselves for this week and for next week.
Chambers sends 2 to the line to the near side. Handles a bit of a high snap. No, he doesn't. The ball is loose, laying on the carpet. Recovered by the Saints. Saints ball. Saints ball. The first St. Clair product in it was Dalmas Lynch. He lynched the ball away.
Yeah, high snap. Don't know what happened there. It ends up getting botted forward.
Patty caked by Chambers.
Unfortunately, had to reach up and try to get it. Tried to make a play on that. Swats it forward. 3 Saints there. The ball's laying there. Jump on it. Good job of avoiding points, causing a turnover that really wasn't caused by your defense.
A question that I'm sure Saints fans wanted me to avoid you asking is, would you have dared to start Matthew Gwinnett this game, knowing that the backup quarterback, 17 of 20 passing, 355 yards, 5 TDs, and 1 interception. Oh, yeah, he's added 41 yards on 4 rushes. Not bad for a guy coming in as your secondary.
No, absolutely. You go with what got you to the dance, though, at any
But you know the adage in football, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have
none.
no quarterbacks.
Yeah, absolutely. Been there, done that.
Once again, it is Bush leading
Taking
the
a
helm.
shot.
He's going to take a shot deep here into coverage, coming back on the ball. What a play. You got to give credit where credit is due. Jared Hayes Williams, he already came into this game with 291 yards caught. Well, he's over the 300-yard mark there easy.
Yeah, there you go. Just a really good job of getting upfield and finding the seam, high-pointing the ball. Little bit of a push there, unfortunately. But, again, really great job of getting high-pointing the ball. And on that, Kazadi, unfortunately,
should have picked that ball off.
Should have made a play on it. Thought he was pushed a little bit. Unfortunately, he wasn't.
I don't think that was the throw Bush wanted, but it definitely was the result.
Now the wind's in their face, so you see the ball kind of holding up a little bit as well.
Out of the pro set, they're going to give it to Vokes. Vokes over to the right side, dodges past Dylan Clark. He's going to get hammered down, though, by Ben Regier. It'll still be close to a first down mark, bring up 2nd and short.
Good gain of about 7 yards, just a straight power play over the right-hand side. Following his blocks, does a really good job of sticking his foot in the ground and getting north-south on that. 2nd down and about 3 here for the Saints. 2:15 left in the half. That's a gain of 5 yards. It's nothing special. It's just a gain of about 5 yards on that, but a really good job of establishing what you want to do in the game.
Thanks for joining us here on Beefs TV, live on CJFL TV. We apologize for any technical difficulties as our captain, Daniel Fitzgerald, steers the Titanic all the way to New York's port. As we got a 2nd down coming up here, Ron, with 10:28 remaining here before the halftime break. Bush protected in the pocket, throws it over the top. This one's caught, and instead of a dose
Fumble
of Hayes Williams, it comes loose. Recovered by the Beefeaters. Beefeaters coming back the other way. He thought about lateraling the damn thing. It was Connor Winrow talking about a one-man circus show out there.
Wow, the Saints are gonna be screaming at the referees that he was down. He was pretty close to being down on that.
Well, they got more zebras than the zoo out here at Citywide Sports Park. If it happened, one of them would have saw it.
Boy, oh boy, that was. But hey, turnover on down. Each team was driving the ball. Each team turned it over. It's pretty much serve volley. U.S. Open. U.S. Open terms, we're still 3-3.
I still feel
first
bad
set.
for my girl Serena. She's
it's unfortunate, but with every athlete and everything else, careers do come to an end.
That's right. And she's going out on her own terms, which is a good thing. And she's literally not only a pioneer in tennis, but a pioneer in all of women's sports as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
So with 10:04 remaining before the halftime break, the Beefs get lucky. Chambers in the pocket. Pressure's coming. Has to escape. Going to throw this one before the line of scrimmage. Incomplete pass. Trying to dive to catch it was Mitchell Spence, but I don't like to use NFL references too much here, partner, but that was a little Patty Mahomes action out of the back pocket there by Chambers to keep the play alive.
Well, the Saints, let's try this for the third time. The Saints have a long looper blitz. So 55, the linebacker, comes around the right end, and he's clean. Ethan Chambers sees him, steps up, delivers the ball downfield, trying to make a play where there really wasn't one. Spence actually does a good job coming back for the ball, but again, unfortunately, incomplete 2nd down.
If you're just joining us, it's an A.J. Williamson 25-yard field goal followed by a Preston Knight 25-yard field goal, and we're tied up at 3s. Beefeaters, though, here not going to get anywhere on the ground attack. You know what? They started pouring a foundation early through Taz Van Bell and L.J. Dyer, but man, like you talked about, the Saints are clogging that box.
Yeah, they're really taking away that run and doing a good job. They're slowly starting to impose their will on this game a little bit. You need a big punt with the wind at your back. You better flip this field. You've got to end up with the ball at least on the Saints 50 or behind that.
I want to give a big shout out to the Beefeater TV crew. It's Alex Stoddard on camera, Daniel Fitzgerald taking us through the production and the directing, I think. The Constantine's doing a great job on graphics, and of course you, Ron, for Werda. We're calling a battle of the undefeateds here, baby. It's somebody's O has got to go. You're supposed to follow that with some, Ron.
I got nothing.
A.J. Williamson back at his own goal line. I assume he's going to punt this one away in a tie ball game. He is. Now remember, the GTA Grizzlies blocked the punt and took it back for a field goal. This one goes a country mile down the field. In fact, it went so far down the field that the Beefeaters got trapped. In fact, it looks like Zach Hepburn is going to get called for being within the halo.
Well, again, booming punt. Remember what I just said. You got to get this ball to at least the 50. Not only did it get to the 50, it goes to the 35-yard line by the time it hits the ground, but then bounces right back into the trailing Beefeaters, and it's going to be the 5-yard variety because it was on the ground.
On the ground, correct.
Now, we talked about this in the university in the pro game.
Now it's 15 each.
It's 15 regardless.
Do you think the OFC will adopt that rule by next season?
Depending on what refereeing crews you had this summer.
And by the way, going off of that Williamson punt, 57.2 yard average in week 1, 46.7 yard average in week 2. So it's not like this kid just had a whim there.
He absolutely hit that ball about 65 yards of change of field position on that.
Andrew Bush hands this one off to Vokes now again.
Nowhere to go.
Tit for tat. So the Saints defense is really starting to hone in on the Beefeaters run game with Dyer and Tazvang Bell. Well, holding serve as the Beefeaters defense, holding guys down like Vokes and MJ Doyle out of the backfield.
Well, now you've got to take away that pass, that zone passing that the Saints are doing a very good job of.
Well, Hayes Williams has burned them on 4 occasions already in this game.
He's having himself a game so far.
Guys,
number 15.
Coming off of a 2-touchdown performance last week and had 2 touchdowns in the first week, although I'll say that was against the Quinty Skyhawks on both occasions, who are winless in 2022.
And 2021.
They didn't win a game? No, they won a game last year, Ron. You got to give some Quinty Skyhawks fans credit. As Dylan Clark, the Belleville native. You mentioned Quinty, and all of a sudden a Belleville native gets involved in the action. It's Clark tackling the quarterback, 3rd down.
First sack of the game for the Beefeaters. Boy, oh boy, when you needed it. Now let's see how the exchange and punts works out with punting into the wind. If the Beefeaters can get the ball at the 20, maybe the 25-yard line, think of where they were punting from last time. The exchange, that's a 15-yard difference in field position. That is how Coach Matt Snyder likes to run his games.
Beefeaters necessarily haven't had a big punt return play yet this season, but remember, L.J. Dyer started off the 2022 campaign with a 105-yard touchdown return to start the season against the Ottawa Sooners. As getting this one away is Preston Knight. It gets caught up in the wind, though. In fact, it bounces back out of bounds. It'll go marked officially at the 55-yard line, right at midfield.
Now, think of the exchange and punts. Okay, you're punting on the 12-yard line. Okay, you're punting on your goal.
48 yards were compensated between those 2 drives.
Yeah, it is a huge difference. That is why you punt the ball with the wind at your back. Let your punter, who is a weapon. I don't care. I'm going to say it. Coach Melrose is not here to argue with me. You know what's coming. You've heard it before. Kickers are people too.
Happy belated birthday goes to our other producers, Stephanie Melrose, and a shout out to Adam Melrose while we're at it. It is Danny Fitzgerald holding it down, though, here today, as it looks like a bit of a screen out of the backfield here, partner. Did you like that play call designed to Connor Marsh?
Yeah, just like, again, that little step off, you can see on the replay on that when you're watching this. Look at how much pressure they absolutely got coming upfield. They are sending 8, 9 guys to take away that run. Until you can throw the ball and keep these guys from coming upfield, you have to do this type of thing.
And you got defensive linemen like Fania and Bray Miller who have, 4 and 2 sacks respectively coming into this game. As Chambers quickly hands this one off to Taz Vang Bell. Vang Bell off to the right side, bouncing off of a couple tackles. It looks like he's got enough for the first down by, about half a yard.
There's a little bit of extracurricular after the whistle as well. No call on that. That's definitely going to be enough for a Beefeater first down. As good job. Now you got a first down again. Now you're in plus territory. You've really got to make a couple more first downs before you're into the big kicker's range.
Is this going to come down to first touchdown wins?
It quite possibly could be. These teams are so evenly matched across the board, and they're so well coached, both these teams.
Chambers, once again, in the shotgun, has 2 weapons. Make that 3 to his right side. Fires it over to the right side. That one's reeled in. The Saints making the tackle was Dalmas Lynch. It's Nick McKenzie on the catch.
Just a little skinny post inside there, catching it on the fly and getting upfield. And look at that. The ball's in the 30-yard line. You're moving the ball. You're getting some momentum. Everything else, you are close. You're real close to field goal range at this point.
During the victory over the GTA Grizzlies, which took place in Brampton last Sunday, Chambers threw a 32-yard touchdown pass to Nick McKenzie and also ran for a 15-yard touchdown. 2 swag to the line. The Saints nibble, but they don't bite on it. And there we go on this play on a first down gander. It's Taz Van Bell tackled in the backfield, and you hear the contingency of Saints fans cheering on Nico Reckon, the defensive lineman, in on the play.
Yeah, just there, you're trying to get that power game going to the outside there. That time, 3 blockers, 4 defenders, someone's coming clean. The inside guy made the play. Good job.
Also last week, despite the fact that the Beefeaters had a 12-0 lead after the first quarter and a 28-7 lead at halftime, it was Anthony Pinto in the second half throwing a 23-yard touchdown to Josh Dahlberg, and he also ran for a 10-yard touchdown. Backing up Ethan Chambers, who's going deep here. I mean, all over him like a cheap suit was Nick Banani. And to be honest with you, I thought he got way too much of the receiver that time, but not according to the officials.
Well, there's a little bit of hand checking going down the field by the receiver, Connor Desposita. He gave him a little shot early, but I thought he was grabbed and being held up for sure.
Yeah, Deep Atesta had room down the field, and to be honest with you, he's not necessarily the number 1 target. That's Nigel Morris as far as the receptions are concerned, coming in with 86 yards and 5 catches into this game. But I know you're allowed to get a little hand battle here and there. I didn't think you were allowed to grab.
Well, it would have come back, to be honest with you, because they had the Beefeaters for a holding call. The penalty was declined, and that's going to bring up 3rd down. We talked about you're definitely in field goal range. Johnny, this kid's got a cannon of a leg.
Well, we should say, though, he was 2 of 5 last week against GTA and 1 of 3 from this range. This appears to be a 36-yarder from the far hash mark. The kick is up, and it is good. So with 4:12 remaining before halftime, the Beefeaters have doubled up the Saints here, 6-3.
6-3, and again, the battle of special teams, the battle of field position. 2 very, very evenly matched teams. They've both been able to do what they want to do. Run the ball with power, run the ball with authority, establish the offensive lines. Both teams have had counters. Both teams have made costly turnovers in the red zones.
Something we didn't really expect.
No, but a very evenly matched, very evenly played game here. Again, call me a homer, call me whatever you want. I don't think either team has really established themselves as the superior team at this point, as we're just going into the half very, very soon here. 4:12 left to go in the half, John. What are your thoughts so far?
Well, I am a little shocked at the low score, but then they say the offense sells you tickets and the defense wins you championships, and we clearly are looking at the 2 champion contenders of the OFC here in 2022. And as I already mentioned, this is a battle so nice, we're going to do it twice. The home and home, as it is going to be the Beefeaters taking on the Saints at Acumen Stadium on September 10th. So A.J. Williamson, after booting the field goal to give his team the 6-3 lead, will kick this one off the 45-yard line. Going back towards the end zone is Dante Lewis. Remember, he is a danger returner. He'll come across the near sidelines and be sideswiped there by a Beefeater in number 24, Gammy Kazadi.
Yeah, Kazadi does a good job. And again, you got the first guy that tucks inside a little bit. You got to stay on that a little bit longer if you are the edge protector. But again, you had another guy coming to job. They do that a lot. They'll move the ball to the near hash mark. They'll overload with 5 defenders there. They'll kick it down there and make you go all the way across all those defenders and try to get that try to get that crossfield. That time, I've always been a big believer in take the ball north-south, don't run across the field. You're not going to score going east-west. Good job of getting the ball to, I believe, the 25-yard line for the Saints.
And as a result, with 3:53 remaining before halftime, it is the Saints playing, well, keep up right now, as it is a 6-3 deficit of all things on the board. Bush with the handoff. I think that's Vokes to the far side. And you know what? I didn't even see the number. I just understand the play situation and how they've been using Keon Vokes, and there he is.
Yeah, and again, unfortunately, someone's helmet came off, whether he has to come off the field or not.
3 plays.
Well, no, so because it just came off during the play. He didn't take it off.
Well, I thought it didn't matter.
Well, no, it does matter. if it comes off in contact, if you take your helmet off, that's different. But anyway.
Oh, okay, all right.
1st and 10 for the Saints, John. Ball's at the 35-yard line, I believe. 33?
I would just constantly make the argument that I wasn't taking my helmet off then. So with this 1st and 10, the Beefs bit there.
Didn't know. I don't think he came all the way across, though.
Okay, so he actually fooled me, if you will, because it was Powell Szymanski who looked like he bit on that right end. But like you said, he's allowed that half-yard difference and maybe didn't go across the threshold.
Yeah, and again, good penetration inside that time by the defensive line by the Beefeaters. Threw him down for a loss of 2, second down and about 11, maybe 12.
Defensive line that's led by Christian Thompson, Karn Sadu, and Mathieu Labelle. At the linebacker position, you got guys like Tyler Thompson, who's a freight train, Ben Regrier, Nick Samus, and Powell Szymanski, who we just mentioned.
Yeah, Szymanski is a big, tall, athletic linebacker who brings a lot of heat when he tackles.
Coverage, you got Jordan Wright, Zach Hepburn, Connor Winrow at safety, Willie Maboku, and Toby Gebawani.
Draw. Nowhere to go. Number 40 for the Beefeaters. Wow.
We just mentioned Nick Samus is part of that linebacking crew.
Absolutely stays home and delivers a huge hit after a gain of about 4.
It's going to force
4.
Preston Knight out.
From the punt.
Yeah, Preston Knight's got to come out to punt this one away. And let's face it, when you get into a 6-3 ball game, it's safe to say that, well, the kickers are going to play a factor. But both these guys, not every team can say this in the Canadian brand of football, are not only doing the field goal duties, but as well as the punting and the kickoffs, a full utility boot. Yeah, like instead of a utility belt, you get that? No?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
I'm trying out here.
I heard there was a whistle. I'm trying to figure out who. Timeout for the Saints.
Yeah, timeout called on the field. I want to give a big shout-out quickly to the rest of our Beefeaters crew. The Constantine's doing an amazing job on the graphics and the scoreboard information. Daniel Fitzgerald, our producer and director. And Alex Schleihoff-Stoddard. The ass man, bam, bam, at the camera position. So it will be Ron Ford handling it down.
Way up in the air there. Way up.
Way up. So once again, thanks for joining us here. 3-0 versus 3-0. The Saints versus the Beefeaters. It is week 4 of Ontario Football Conference action. Technically week 7, though, of CJFL action is the Okanagan Sun. I like that name, the Sun, not plural, the Sun. Okanagan Sun, 5-0, the best team in the nation right now. And by the way, this one's being booted away by Preston Knight, running in on it on a one-hop. Nick McKenzie kind of let that one go off to the side. No flags on this play. He'll go out of bounds.
Late flag.
Ooh, of course there would be, Ron.
2 of them. Someone's pushing somebody on the sidelines there.
You mentioned some extracurricular activity there earlier in the second quarter, and it seems to be growing as this game continues on.
That's what you get when you play back-to-back weeks. There's going to be some held-over animosity from one week to another.
Well, you're talking about next week, then. It's going to be even rougher.
Yeah, next week that'll be the game with some laundry in there. Actually,
more flags than a UN meeting, as they like to say.
So it's a 15-yard penalty against the Saints for, I'm going to say it's probably a late hit or something out of bounds.
Either way, unnecessary.
And now, 1 first down, and you're in field goal range again, John, with 2:15 left in the half.
Well, again, I was kind of giving a bit of a critical analysis of Williamson, knowing that he just went 2 of 5 with field goals last week. However, he did hit one from plus 40 out, and this one he hits from plus 35, as it looks like this is L.J. Dyer, the South Collegiate Lions product in London, Ontario, getting the run.
Yeah, good straight ahead run on that. You're just doing a straight dive play. Inside power on that. Is that LJ? Yeah, that was LJ. Gain of about 2 on that brings up second down and about 8. You need a first down here to get field goal.
See, I was just going to say, do you dare to take your shot here with Chambers? Something deep. They haven't really done that too often in this game. Although the St. Clair Saints have 7 interceptions. Chambers fires a laser beam, but Mitchell Spence can't reel it in.
You got to catch that. That is right in his hands. Just can't squeeze it. I think he's looking back into that
Western Sun. Yeah, I was actually just going to say that. The Okanagan Sun, the Western Sun.
Yeah, and that's what he's saying. It was a little bit too tight, and he just couldn't quite pick it up. That's unfortunate because I think
the Nicholas Group Mortgage Brokers for supporting us here on Beefs TV on our CGFL broadcast, as well as London Beefeaters football. And I was really shocked to learn that, Beefeaters were on a hiatus up until 2001 when Michael Cercelli coached that team back to life. And, well, Beefeaters football ever since, partner, as Williamson will try and pin their opponent within the 20. And I think he did with a beautiful boot to the far sideline.
Yeah, a little bit of a high snap. We've seen that a couple times now for the Beefeaters. That might be a factor come later on. That's how the Beefeaters turned their ball over earlier. But I'm going to say the ball is going to be about the 15, 20-yard line. It's hard for us to see exactly where it went out.
How much pressure do you put on the Saints offensive line and Corey Levesque, Jaden Kaskin, Simone Keck, A.J. Zilton, and Mark Speller, knowing that they're going to have to give their quarterback Andrew Bush some real estate on this drive with 1:44 remaining before halftime to give themselves a chance to A, get in field goal range or possibly take their first taste of the lead here on your Saturday evening?
I think what you do, though, is you do what you've been doing fairly well, which is run your 2x2 set with the fullback in there, which is what they're in, and just dial it up and run at them.
And as you said, coach calls it, players reel it out, as it is number 24, MJ Doyle Marshall. We haven't seen a whole lot of them. Again, came into this game with 9 rushes, 86 yards. That's 9.6 yards per carry, Ron, for 1 touchdown. No, it wasn't 9.6 yards on that carry, though, as it'll bring up second down.
Second down, but you know what? It's pretty close to 9.6 yards.
It's like 9.
He got 9 yards on that.
9.1, yeah.
He again, straight ahead. What I'm noticing about the Saints running backs is they are very, very low to the ground runners. So what that is their pad levels are definitely lower than the defenders, and they bring a pop when they hit. This time, great job breaking a tackle. There's that low run I was telling you about, John, over the left-hand edge. I think he's going to have enough for a first down.
Well, they have 4 weapons in the backfield. The 3 major ones, Boris Wright, 100 yards coming into this game. MJ Doyle Marshall, who just got that ball, 86 yards coming into this game. And then Keon Vokes, we've seen a handful of times, 55 yards on 11 rushes coming into this game. And we've seen all 3 of them in this one. So it's safe to say the Saints coaching staff is not afraid to use the Hydra at any time.
No, you know what? And in the Canadian game, if you can run the ball and establish your run, that's what this brings up. Look out, here comes the wheel.
Andrew Bush, a bit of a dying quail, picked off by the Beefeaters at the 50-yard line. Gammy Kazadi, INT London ball.
Yeah, you know what? And we're just saying it. How do you do it? How do you get that ball downfield? You do it with play action, John. We do see a flag here late. There's some extracurricular. Which team did the talking? Don't know. We'll find out in a second here.
It should remain London ball regardless, though, Ron. After the Gammy Kazadi interception, the flags followed it. Looks like the one official's trying to pick.
Unsportsmanlike against the Beefeaters, so it's going to go back 15 yards.
That's costly.
Yep.
With only 54 seconds remaining before halftime, that's a first down and a half right there of effort.
Yeah, so now, Where you were thinking, okay, well, field goal range.
Yeah,
I need
one or
about
two
15,
plays were in
20
field goal,
yards.
yeah.
Now it's like, well, now I need a chunk. Realistically, you need to get to the 30-yard line. You are beyond midfield, so you got to get 25, 30 yards here to have a realistic chance for another field goal here.
And again, I keep reminding people, 9 interceptions by 7 different players in a Saints uniform. Is Chambers with an empty backfield. It is a half-back screen. Will gain about 3 yards on the play through Scott Nichols, but there was a flag, I should say.
Two flags,
just after the ball was snapped.
Yeah, 2 flags. I think you're going to have offside against the Saints lining up offside. I'm just waiting for the call to come here from the officials. I thought that they lined up offside.
So again, I keep reminding people that these two teams are going to battle each other back at Acumen Stadium on September 10th. What happens after that, though, Ron? Well, London on September 18th, that's a Sunday, is going to play in Hamilton against the Hurricanes at Tim Hortons Field before then playing the Ottawa Sooners here at home, which will be our next broadcast. For the Fratmen, after their game against the Beefeaters on September 10th at home, they'll actually go to our nation's capital. It's called Tag Stadium now, not NMP Park, at Carleton University to take on the Sooners.
They were in Ottawa.
No, they were in Quinte, my friend.
Fratmen
have played. Fratmen.
Week 1, were they not in Ottawa?
Beefeaters were in Ottawa.
Yeah.
That's correct. They're going to play.
I'm sorry.
They're going to play Hamilton.
Okay, my bad.
After the Saints, and the Saints are going to play Ottawa after the Beefeaters.
Okay, so we had offside against the Saints, illegal block against the Beefeaters, move it back 5 yards, replay first down. Basically, there's the long and short of it.
The Jenga blocks are falling in my brain. As now it is Chambers going to hand this one as if this is a bit of a sweep. Sweep to Bell. Bell off to the far sidelines, trying to get that edge. But you know what? Great job by the Saints defense to not really let them any real estate, including Jackson Roundtree to cut off the edge.
Yeah, good job. Gain of about 6 on that. So you move Tazvang Bell. There you start to see what they're trying to do. Get both LJ Dyer and Vang Bell on the field at the same time. Tazzy's definitely your home run hitter, where LJ's much more of your straight ahead guy, so you can run that option on that read that people like to do here. And it brings up good gain on the play of 6, bringing up a second down and 9 here.
Yeah, it might as well be a 3rd and 10. It's a 2nd and 9 as now it'll be Taz Vang Bell. This time, instead of going to the edge, tries to hug that right hash mark, but again, plethora of green jerseys got into the mix, hold him down to a 2-yard gain, and you would assume with 32 seconds left on the board, Williamson will come out to punt the ball away.
Yeah, absolutely, as we have a injured Beefeater down here. Now, the Beefeaters have not called a timeout. Do they let the clock run here for about 19 seconds to try to kill some of this clock?
Then the Saints would just call the timeout.
Well, that forces them to take their second and last timeout then,
No, but if you are the Saints, obviously you're going to try and keep as much of the juice in the orange as possible over these next 32 seconds to give your kicker, Preston Knight, a chance. Not just Preston Knight, your offense through Andrew Bush, who, let's face it, coming into this game, partner, 21 of 44 passing, 359 yards, 6 touchdowns, and just 1 interception. He also had 62 yards on 8 carries on the ground. You know what's funny? Both Bush and Chambers have done damage on the ground with over 50 yards each in damage and multiple touchdowns. We have yet to see either quarterback really go for a gander in this one.
No, and again, that's both defenses are playing very, very disciplined as well. As the clock is now it's blowing
starting to
in.
wind down. You know what? To your point, Ron, the Saints utilized a timeout earlier in this quarter, and I believe they're going to call one here.
Timeout, Saints. So now they've used both their timeouts. So that's who called it.
They pointed at the Beefeaters, though. No, it's Saints. Okay, well, I like that.
You know that they're going to punt. Okay, make them call their last timeout. So then they only have the first down markers to reset the clock.
That was a little foolish, though, because it still took them 8 seconds to throw up the tee. He still burned 8 seconds needlessly.
But you have to make sure. You have to make sure that that's what the plan is. When the quarterback turns around looking at the clock, you kind of know at that point.
I mean, Ron, there could be 1 second left on the board. You give me that guy Dante Lewis who's about to return this punt. He's got 2 punt return touchdowns, including a 65-yarder
They're
last
not letting
week.
them. They're not letting them. They're just punting this ball out of bounds.
Smart call with
Yeah,
16 seconds left
absolutely.
before halftime.
Absolutely. And again, that was Connor Marsh would have been down there for the coverage there for the Beefeaters. This ball is going to come out to about, I'm going to say about the 25-yard line by the time it's spotted here. 16 seconds left, and that's why you make them burn their timeout. Now, what do? Well, realistically, you run a play, you're down 3, you get into half, you make your couple adjustments.
This is Ontario Football Conference Week 4 action, or CJFL Week 7 action, depending on how you're looking at us. Thanks for joining us as the St. Clair Saints are taking on the London Beefeaters in a battle of 3-0 teams. Somebody's always got to go here, though, at Citywide Sports Park on your Saturday afternoon, live from the Forest City. Thanks for joining us here on Beefs TV.
4-by-1 look to the field here, inside handoff, trying to catch the Beefeaters sleeping.
And they almost did. That was MJ Doyle Marshall out of the backfield, who averaged 9.6 yards per carry. Well, it's a first down. Go figure.
Yeah, but again, 10 seconds left. Ball set, should be blowing in any second now.
There it goes. So,
Yeah,
as
you're
you
gonna
said,
have two more plays,
two
maybe.
plays tops, you
Yeah.
would think. Unless there's penalties. That happens. And there's been
Unless it's not snapped before, this will be the last play.
been a cornucopia of penalties in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if we see another yellow or orange flag on this one. Instead, it's a run play right up the gut, all the way up to the...
You got your prevent defense in at that point, though. You know, you'll give up 20 yards on ground coverage because you're not giving up the home run ball on that.
So we'll go to the Nicholas Group box score with 13:07 remaining in the first quarter. It was Williamson hitting a field goal to give the Beefeaters a 3-0 lead. Preston Knight retaliated with a 25-yard field goal of his own with a 1:38 left on the first quarter clock. And then it took till all the way to 4:12 remaining before halftime. Williamson hit one from 35-plus yards out to give us a 6-3 scoreboard. Ron, your thoughts on the first half of play?
You know, really Canadian type of game, field position, punting, special teams. I think both these teams right now should be fairly happy with the performances of the defenses and the offensive lines. You both have had opportunities. You both have had turnovers in the red zone, going in for scores. This could be a very different game, but it feels like a 6-3 type of game, 10-7 type of game.
The Beefeaters have put up 137 points of offense in the regular season, only allowed 27 points on the board compared to the 186 points put forward by the Saints and only 20 points allowed. And despite the, 300-plus points combined between these two teams, there's just 9 on the board at halftime. For Ron Forwarda, I'm Jonathan Urbanowicz. It's a, 6-3 game at halftime in this kicker affair. As we are live back at Citywide Sports Park here for this exciting edutaining Ontario Football Conference Week 4 action between the Beefeaters and the Saints. Both teams entering with a 3-0 record, but as they like to say, somebody's O has got to go, Ron Forwarda. And we got a 6-3 ball game after 30 minutes of play.
So they are kicking into the wind.
Don Lewis on the return up through the sidelines,
Flags
almost
everywhere.
up to the 40-yard. An awful lot in the first half continues on the very first play of the second half, and that's a penalty flag on the field.
Well, you've got 3 different flags. I'm not sure if they're all going to be there. You kind of saw it a little bit at the end there. I think this is going back 15 yards against the Saints.
Once again, and the Saints come into this game with the most prowess offense in the, technically the best defense with just 20 points allowed. The only caveat you got to throw in there, though, Ron, is that out of their 3 games so far, they've played Quinte 82-0, Hamilton 20-6, and then Quinte again, though, this time in Belleville 84-14, whereas London's beat the Sooners by The Quincy Skyhawks here at home, 52-6. And then they were on the road against, maybe it's because of the GTA. I got a big old softy. They were supposed to, they got a switch to the West End, and they ended up playing in Brampton. But when you're named GTA, I mean, they could go out to Oshawa, they could go up to North York, they could go anywhere.
Beefeaters, so first down, great field position.
They're sweeping over to the left side of the field.
Dante Lewis.
And as a result, Dante Lewis has the edge going on the sidelines, cuts back in at the 10, getting towards touchdown Saints. Dante Lewis from another area.
But on the first play, jet sweep, and boys of the jet sweep, powering out, and then this is the number I thought he stepped out there.
The official was not in the right position. He was clearly out of bounds, and it goes for naught.
Well, who is kind of the X factor for the Saints all year long.
I love how there's 16 set of eyeballs in a zebra uniform, but we have the best one from the sky, courtesy of Alex, and you see Dante step on the yellow.
So, well, how about the field goal, and the extra point is good as well.
Woods in the north end of Citywide Sports Park. Like a library on a Friday night, this place is just gone silent.
Yeah. So you're going to make at halftime, you got to do is, hey, you got to get the ball in your playmaker's hands, and he does a good job of sweeping on that. Pure jet sweep action on that. Pull both the linemen out there. And again, the X factor we kind of talked about.
Well, you talked about at halftime off the air. You were saying, hey, they were focusing on Hayes Williams an awful lot, considering we knew somebody else was going to get involved in the action. And why not Dante Lewis? 163 yards on 8 catches coming into this game. That's 20.4 yards per play from that gentleman. 4 touchdowns through the air and 2 touchdowns on the punt return. That was almost like an elongated punt return, the way he snapped it off on the jet sweep to the left side and just kept on going.
Really good job. Great motor on that kid. He was the X factor last year for the Saints, and really a fantastic. And there again, X factor here again today.
To see if Dante Lewis did dabble out of bounds. Sometimes the fools you.
Well, possibly, but here we're going to see the replay on it. Definitely stepped out. Wow.
But you know what? Sometimes you got to be a good salesman, and he sold it as hell to play in the last 5 to 10 yards, put his body on the line to make the play.
Yeah, he is a dynamic football player, great speed, good hands on the kid, and again, just really good job. Kick out of bounds here, so the Beefeaters are going to take the ball, and they're going to scrimmage on the 40-yard line, Johnny.
So Dante area code has major on the board, and it took till the second half of it. Chambers not having much, and he gave it to his running back, who didn't do well either.
No, it was theirs, and tried to hit that step-off screen. It was batted down by number 13 for the Saints, with the linebacker for the Saints, 6'4", big, tall, athletic, 220 for the Saints, knocking that away.
So once again, it brings up 2nd and 10 here for the Beefeaters, now trailing by a 10-6, trying to get the Saints to nibble. They don't. Chambers protected in the pocket, throws this one over the top. This one is caught. Nick McKenzie had it in his chest.
Well,
and now the Saints look like they got the ball.
You're going to have some ejections now.
So I don't know if we'll get a replay on what just occurred there, but some extracurriculars right as the ball was hit to his intended target.
I think he got past interference. I think he got there early. But then number 2 for the Saints, Patterson Jr. punches the Beefeater.
Little pitter-patter after every
And you
play.
got a flag in the backfield. Roughing the passer on top of it. So you've got flags everywhere.
Well, you can't be doing that on the field, unfortunately. It doesn't
got
matter
a
how hot
holding-
you get under the collar.
Holding against the Beefeaters.
So that's Billy Patterson Jr. And Billy Patterson Jr., if you recall, blocked the initial Williamson field goal attempt this game, had a big play on Chambers earlier, and knocked down a pass. He's been a key weapon defensively for the Saints. Well, the syringe broke off that time. He wasn't a nuisance under the skin.
Yeah, this is definitely, he gave him 2 or 3 shots down there, and the other Saints player tried to save him.
So objectionable conduct
So
goes
both
against
the penalties
Saints.
both the penalties against the defense. So this is going to go up. I believe this is going to go up 25 yards for the ejection.
So
on top of this,
Bush just had a huge play
35 yards. My apologies.
through the sweeping action of
yards.
Dante Lewis. They got the first major on the board, and like that happened pretty much from their end of the field all the way into Beefeaters' major end zone. And then as a result, right after, Billy Patterson Jr. gets a lot rambunctious after that last play, and as a result costs his team 35 yards. The Beefeaters are now in the red zone run for Werda, down by 4.
Yeah, and again, cooler heads, they must prevail. He's played himself a whale of a game, but again, 2 shots, and not only, I believe he's going to be out the next game as well. Inside handoff to L.J. Dyers there.
Well, interesting to note, Nick Berkovich was actually telling his defensive squad after that last, Billy Patterson Jr. infraction, everybody calm down. We got some work to do. We got to go back into the action. Who's the first person to make the tackle on the ensuing play?
There you go.
It's one thing to talk the talk, Ronnie. I always love it when the kids walk the walk.
Yeah, gain of 3 on that, John. 2nd down and 7.
Now, given where they are on the field, down by 4, are you thinking nothing but touchdown on this drive?
No, you're thinking points.
Okay.
That's what you're thinking.
High snap to Chambers. It's a play action. Chambers rolling out to the right side. Looks like Chambers is going to hang on to this ball. Chambers dipsy doodles out of bounds. It looks like he's got enough to move the chains and creates a 1st and goal.
Well, the stats didn't lie about his legs being athletic. Ethan Chambers,
when you are running power constantly, the defensive, mind can be like a moth to the bright light, getting lured into the power running game, and it's very easy for any quarterback, for that matter, to pull the ball out and go for a scamper, and that's time Chambers did for the 1st down.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened on that, is when you always look inside.
Ball's at the 5-yard line, by the way.
Ball's on the 5-yard line, and unfortunately, number 8, who seemed to be the leader for the Saints here, who just told everybody, hey,
Berkovich.
Relax.
He made the last tackle, and like you said, after the Billy Patterson infraction, which got him ejected from this game, it was the gentleman being, helped off the field right now that was kind of calming down his troops, and for the most part was leading by example. Well, he can't do that from the sidelines.
Yeah, but again, it's good to see him walking off under his own power.
He might be able to come back. That's right.
But he's got 3 plays out, and it's 3 plays.
And in this drive, there might not even be 3 plays if the Beefeaters get their way.
1st down on about the 5-yard line here, John. 5 or 6-yard line. Beefeaters got to capitalize now.
David Legg snaps the ball to Chambers. It's fumbled, but it is picked off of the carpet. That time, I think it was Scott Nichols.
Yeah, Nichols is in at the running back. He's definitely their power guy, but you got a flag on the far side of the field. I believe the Saints lined up offside.
Wide receiver was pointing specifically at Nick Banney. He's a defensive back of the Saints. I don't know if that's what he was doing necessarily. He's pointing at the Saints' direction, but it looked like he was pointing right at 28, saying this is the culprit.
Yeah, and it was someone on the Saints offside. They lined up in the offside position. So half the distance of the goal, 1st down repeated.
Geez, you think about that Dante Lewis touchdown. You think that was in a game of jabs and body punches, that was the first knockout blow really thrown by either of these two teams. And yet, London was able to, I'll say take a knee for the 8 count, get right back up, and go back to work on their own.
So here comes Coach Matt in his heavy package. He's going to bring 2 fullbacks in. Yep, 2 fullbacks are in. Number 89, who's someone we know quite well for the Beefeaters, and number 45. Handoff to LJ Dyer straight
Trying
ahead.
to go right up the middle.
Touchdown.
Touchdown, Beefeaters. LJ Dyer, who started off this year already with 3 touchdowns, now has 4. And it gives the Beefeaters the lead with 12:28 remaining in the third quarter.
I'm going to give a shout out to the 2 fullbacks on that who do a great job of blocking. Number 45, Wilson, and number 89, Curtis Fortune. Fortune's on the left edge on that. Wilson is the up back, and they just outman them at the point of attack. Great job by the guard and the tackle on the right-hand side for the Beefeaters, opening up a wedge hole, and just straight ahead, he went 4 yards in. He was 2 yards into the end zone.
Williamson's only missed 1 PAT so far this season, and it remains 1 here as this one's good. He was 5 for 5 against the Ottawa Sooners, 5 of 6 against the Quinte Skyhawks, and then last week was 4 for 4 against the GTA Grizzlies. And, well, the Beefeaters finally get their first major of the game after having 2 A.J. Williamson field goals to show for themselves offensively in the first half, and after giving up the first major to Dante Lewis on that epic catch and run on the sweep, well, they do retaliate through LJ Dyer.
Well, again, how do you answer a score as you come back with a score? So good job for the Beefeaters. They gave them the lead, got it right back again. But now you've got to keep your eye on number 18 for the Saints, Dante Lewis. He's been the X factor all year for these guys, and they tried to hit him on that wheel route earlier, gave him a jet sweep.
Well, and to your point, Ron, Williamson's been doing an incredible job, whether it's on the punts or the kickoffs, by avoiding number 18, Dante Lewis. Whereas they didn't have that option when Bush gave him the ball on that last major.
Exactly. Let's see what happens on this.
Ball placed at the 45-yard line, far hash. 12:28 remains here in the third quarter of play. Live from Citywide Sports Park, it's Beefs TV and the Battle of the Undefeateds. 3-0 Saints, 3-0 Beefs, but only one can go to 4-0 in 2022. Williamson boots this one away, running in on it.
Is Lewis.
Actually, that's Enzi Uyuti, my friend, number 10, and Uyuti is out of bounds right in front of the Saints bench.
So, number 10 on that. Okay. Good job of returning. Returns it to about the 39-yard line. That's a great return on that. And again, remember, the Saints have got the wind right now. So that's been a huge factor. We saw how the field position changed with the Saints there.
Lewis having something to say at the Beefeaters, and in fact, it's his offensive lineman, Corey Levite, guiding him back to the huddle, saying, just let it go. Let's focus on your craft.
Yeah, well, again,
so there's
emotions are starting to creep into this game.
A lot of gamesmanship, a lot of games within the games, and you mentioned it. This is only going to erode into something bigger next week when these two teams play each other down in Windsor.
Yep, let's go.
12:15.
Road trip, Johnny.
Another
2.5 hour drive.
Yeah. Add some KMs. As it is Bush. 2 St. Clair Saints sweeping over to the left side. Instead, it's MJ Doyle. And MJ Doyle Marshall still on his feet, continuing past the first down marker. Needed 10 yards, got 17 instead, and it's a first down for the Saints.
Well, there you go. You've got the same concept coming across. You're faking that lead jet sweep, and then they hand the ball off. The eyes are on Dante Lewis. They lose contain. Good job. We talked about this guy. Look at the leg drive on him. He's made contact, and he continues to drive for another 7 yards on that. Really good job by the Saints running back.
Multiple weapons for the Saints from the running back position. Boris Wright already had 100 yards coming into this game. MJ Doyle Marshall now over 100 yards on the season. Kian Vokes We saw him early and often in the first half, not so much here in the second half, but for a guy that led the team with 11 rushes coming into this game, wouldn't be surprised if we see another dose of him here and there.
Yeah, and that's what it's going to be. Is it absolutely has to be the run game is set up because both these teams have got X factors. They're both run-based teams. The Saints had really shown down the field early and often in the season, but coming down to it, they want to run the ball. They want to hit you in the mouth. Good to see the Beefeater player under his own power on that. I believe it's Tyler Thompson, the linebacker.
That's big for their defense.
Yeah, that's a big blow.
And going back to your X Factor comment, we already knew Jared Hayes-Williams was the star of all stars with his 291 yards and 16 catches for 4 touchdowns. But with Dante Lewis also having 4 touchdown catches on 8 attempts and his 2 punt return touchdowns, it's a double star. 3 weapons to the left side for Andrew Bush to pick on. 3 are going to swag to the line, but it's actually Kean Vokes, as I mentioned before, getting in on it. But great defense that time by Nick Samus.
Samus the first one in the backfield. There, as you can see, he's trying to force him back. He's trying to get that outside edge. Samus does a good job forcing him back into all his friends. Held down for a gain of about 2 yards on that second down.
2 weeks ago, the Saints offense had 321 yards of total offense on 51 plays. That's 6.3 yards per play. They had 17 downs compared to Hamilton's 7 as they handled the Hurricanes easily, 20-6. Similar play formation. It's a play action. Bush to the far side. This one's caught by Doyle Marshall.
Great defense.
But this time, unlike the previous dose of Doyle Marshall, he wasn't able to dipsy-doodle his way to the first down.
I'm going to tell you something right now. Samus does a great job of cleaning up because he's got it, okay? There's that double jet sweep action coming.
Now, partner, what do you want to do here on third down? Looks like Andrew Bush was actually trying to will his coach.
Yeah.
I want to play. Give me the play. And he says, no, we're going to punt this one and play it safe.
So,
But you saw Bush on the far sideline there, adamantly wanting another shot at that third down.
You've got to play. You got to play the field position game at this point. You're doing a good job. Everything is being really is close to the vest. It's being really tight, really well played game. You absolutely have to punt this ball with the wind at your back.
Preston Knight, a beautiful spiral, backs up the returner to the 10-yard line. I believe that's Nick McKenzie. He put it down around the 15.
So again, that's why you punt the ball with the wind. Now the wind seems to have died down now.
Yes, it has.
That's something that is to be thought about. What you thought was a win factor in the third quarter really hasn't come up here.
A third quarter that has featured 2 touchdowns after a lone field goal in the second quarter and 2 field goals in the first.
So again, the really, really well played. Both teams have made the adjustments. Now they're settling back in. LJ Dyers is back in.
Huge drive for the Beefeaters if they can cap off some points here. Chambers hands this one off. It is LJ Dyer who just got the major on the board, spinning his way to the first down, moving the chains.
Okay, so something for us to keep in mind, John. We haven't seen Taz Van Bell since that one carry where he came off with a little bit gimpy with the ankle. Haven't seen him back on the field. Don't know. I saw him run out from the bench late at half. I don't know if he was being taped or what was going on, but we haven't seen him on the field since, so that's a big loss for the Beefeaters.
A player we don't see back onto the field either in a Saints uniform. Or actually, I apologize. Yes, he is back out there. Their leader, if you will, Brajovic.
Yeah.
As, again, maybe not a leader stats-wise, but watching his demeanor out on the field, especially after that Billy Patterson Jr. altercation, he was the one out there trying to calm everything down.
Yeah, we got a couple cramps happening here on the Saints. That's absolutely what they're doing in there. It is a hot, humid day here, Johnny. It's well in its 30s. The breeze doesn't make it seem that much, but it is a warm day
Well,
here.
when you're hustling and bustling, certainly that wind doesn't play much of a factor. It's hard to believe November 20th of 2021 was the last time these two teams hooked it up. That was the 2021 OFC Championship game, which ended in a thrilling fashion, 15-14. Well, here we are, many moons later, It's a 13-10 scoreboard with 8:45 left in the third quarter.
Really, the first game that these two teams played, it was really one-sided for the Saints. And, LJ Dyer absolutely lowering the shoulder on that.
And a Saint lost his bucket behind the play. Complaining to the officials is Lorenzo Blake, but again, we had this conversation earlier. Does Blake now have to sit off for 3 plays? Or are you going to say that was incidental? Yeah, he's staying back out there.
Yeah, incidental. David Legg, the center, absolutely drive blocked him to the ground there. You can kind of see the finish at the end of the play there. Well, you don't really see it.
How imperative is the relationship between Legg and Chambers as this season continues on?
Huge. I'll tell you right now, as an old ball coach, the most important position on the football field is the center.
Another dose of the run. They're grabbing out his uniform from all sorts of directions, but they still can't stop the bulldozer known as LJ Dyer.
That's twice the helmet's come off now.
Yeah, he's got to come off now. No?
So now he's got pieces of his helmet coming off.
A second straight play seems a little too coincidental.
Yeah, you got a helmet repair that needs to happen on there. He's definitely coming off now. He's got to sit for 3 plays.
So if I don't put my chin strap on right and stay out there for numerous plays, I can stay out there? Is that the gimmick we're getting sold on here? All right. I was always told to chin it up.
Jet sweep here.
And we're going to get a dose of McKenzie as Nick McKenzie, needed 10, got maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah, first down play. So again, straight ahead run, straight ahead run, straight ahead run. Try to hit a pop on the outside. Look, I'm just saying, look for something, play action variety around the middle of the field coming up. But what do I know?
Well, as I mentioned in a previous broadcast, we've been calling Beefeater football on Beefs TV for the last 3 seasons, and they're your 2-time defending OFC champions. Go figure.
Yep.
Chambers on this 2nd and long, rolling back in the pocket, steps up as it collapses, springs over to the left side, trying to keep the play alive, but he'll be sacked well behind the line of scrimmage. That is Khalil Sadiku.
He does a great job. That's the big nose tackle, scraping down, keeping it alive, throwing him down for a loss of 2 on that. Ethan Chambers is trying to step up there, trying to take the shot. I just said, look for something. It's coming. Threw him down for a loss of about 3 yards on that.
He had a big play against the GTA Grizzlies where he scrambled like a bottle top and eventually ended up throwing a bomb to Nick McKenzie. It went down officially as a 15-yard touchdown. It was practically a 40-yard touchdown the way Chambers ran around. He tried to do something similar there. The Saints are having none of it.
Yeah, very disciplined, well-coached teams, both of these teams.
Williamson, a beautiful punt to the near sidelines. Returned by the Saints at the 31-yard line, skipping past 1 tackle and then being hammered out of bounds at the 48-yard line. He wants a call, this Tristan Rutherford, and actually I don't really blame him because he was well over the out-of-bounds line after taking another lick.
Yeah, it was close. He was right on that out-of-bounds marker when he was we're going to see the replay here. Does a good job. It's just following through. He just hits him with a lot of velocity. It could have been maybe, sort of, kind of, but no.
Could have been maybe, sort of, kind of. Only you, Ron. Only you. As they say, the broken clock gets it right twice in a day, doesn't it, Fitzy? As it is, the Saints going back to the attack. They're sweeping now over to that right side.
Uh-oh.
Here's a chance to do some damage, but no. London responds, and they throw him right back from where he came from. First man in on the tackle looked like Ben Regier.
Yeah, Regier's in there. Nick Samus is in there as well. Samus actually swipes at the ball. He tries to pull that out. They're going to give him a gain of about 3 yards on this before he was thrown back.
Healthy spot by the officials.
Well, to be honest with you, John, it looked like it was the correct spot. I'll be critical of the officials.
Forward momentum went that far, you say?
I'll be critical with the officials
okay.
when I feel they're wrong, but I believe that is the correct spot, and I will back them on this particular one.
On a 3-yard play.
On a 3-yard play, absolutely.
Took a lot of bravado to do that, Ron.
Well,
His Bush.
I got nothing else to lose now.
In the pro set, has a man motioning to the near side of the field. That is NZUT. The snap is bobbled a bit. Andrew Bush feeling the pressure. Going to go for a run as the pocket collapses. Now Bush has space. Has the first down and a bit more. Had 8 yards to gain to move the chains. Man, it looked like he got 15.
Yeah, good run on that. And again, couple times, that's twice that have broken plays have ended up, there you see the athleticism for the quarterback, Bush. Good scamper up the field, gain of about 12 yards on that. That's going to be enough for a first down as we see an injured Beefeater on the play.
Broadcast is brought to you by the Nicholas Group Mortgage Brokers, proud sponsors of this Beefs broadcast on CJFL.TV, as well as London Beefeaters football, your two-time defending OFC champions. And we do get a bit of a break, but it also helps out both teams. We saw some cramping between both white and green uniforms. Getting the water out to both these guys is so imperative at this point.
Yeah, and John, guess what? That wind that we said it looked like it disappeared, it's back.
Well, we are at Citywide. I used to call it something else, but you can't say it on the air.
Welcome to the wind tunnel, as we love to call it.
Well, we've called many thrilling games here, including a triple overtime and a foot of snow. So nothing's going to stop us.
No.
Andrew Bush in the shotgun, awaiting the snap with 2 targets to his right and 2 swagging to the line. Going to hand this one off. It is MJ Doyle Marshall, and Dylan Clark's helmet falls off. Interesting. Up the play, Hayes Williams, one of the stars we've been referring to, was dumped down to the carpet. He span out going, "Whoa, where's the call there?"
Well, he was downfield blocking, and
he got spun down to the ground.
he got spun down.
So again, thanks for joining us here on Beefs TV.
That right side of the Saints offensive line is really doing a good job opening up those holes. Big number 68, and I believe it's 63. The big number 68, the guard, no, 67. So 68 and 67, they're doing a great job opening up holes on that left-hand side.
Bush,
Steps
pocket
up.
collapsing, steps up in the process, hits his man in stride, who gets the first down and a little bit more. Why not? Dante Lewis already has a touchdown in this game. 4 receiving touchdowns and 2 punt return touchdowns coming into this contest. Well, now he's got 7 total touchdowns, looking for an 8th on that affair.
Yeah, and again, just you can see it coming across. It's just a mesh route. It's a long in. Does a great job of stepping up, buying time, allowing the route to develop, and delivering the ball downfield.
2:53 remains here in the third quarter of action. That's featured 2 majors, the first 2 majors of these Battle of the Undefeateds here in Week 4 of OFC action. Andrew Bush trying to find his man just behind the intended target. I think everybody knew he was trying to find Hayes Williams. Well, it was just behind the man wearing number 15.
Just behind him, but he had his guy beat. You know, you just got a quick skinny in there. They gave him an outside fade look, and he jumps on it and comes right across his face. Does a great job. He beat him. He catches that. He's in for the touchdown.
2:41 now remains on the clock and a 13-10 score. This is technically Week 7 of CJFL action. Time flies when you're having fun. Watch out for the guy that he just tried to target there, and Jared Hayes Williams on that far side. Dante Lewis is also on that right side. One of them is loose. Andrew Bush throws a hot dying quail into the back of the end zone. Incomplete. Nobody home. That looked like a shot put throw.
Yeah, he almost. I thought he threw it with his left hand on that one.
Well, that's what I mean, though. It looked so awkward, like he shot put it in like a knuckleballer.
You can see he's getting pressure here. No, he just throws it off balance.
The release of it was a little too behind the elbow.
Yeah. So again, to bring it to a tie game, why not?
Exactly. These two teams were tied 14-all in the 2021 OFC Championship. A walk-off rouge was the difference maker. And here with 2:15 remaining in the third quarter clock, it's Preston Knight attempting the field goal to tie this game up at 13-all. The snap is good. The hold is down. The boot is through. And what do you know? 13-13 in the Battle of the Undefeateds here in the Ontario Football Conference.
And you've weathered the storm with the wind. Now, even though the wind's not nearly the factor as it was in the first half, for that matter. But do you, if you're Coach Snyder, do you take the ball on the 35-yard line here? You have had that big return, but with Tazi Van Bell, if he'd come back the rest of this game, can you afford to have LJ Dyer back there for the returner and carrying the load for the Beefeaters, as they are electing to have the ball kicked off to them.
And we have yet to see a team defer today, correct, Ron? All
Correct.
teams have accepted the kick after the following scoreboard.
It's a choice of the returning team. So, what you're saying is that you believe that your returners are going to get the ball beyond the 35-yard line.
Which both teams have full confidence in, knowing that L.J.
Yeah.
Dyer's taken one back for 105 yards, and Dante Lewis is a constant threat.
Yeah, and Keegan Cardinella is the other returner back there. He is no slouch by any means of the imagination as well. So just, again, a couple of dynamic returners back there. Last time, you remember, the Saints kicked the ball out of bounds almost on purpose.
So once again,
It's just out of bounds.
Well, Cardona actually goes and gets it. So Keegan
Straight
Cardona
ahead.
from the 20-yard line. Sutter steps at the 30, and he'll be stopped there. A little bit of, no, I was going to say pushing and shoving, but that's all gamesmanship going on between these two teams.
Scott Nichols downfield blocking, and where's the ball end up? 30-yard line. So, well, the gamesmanship there, John. Hindsight, you should have taken the ball at the 35-yard line, but, ball's going to be at the 31. First down here for the Beefs. Let's get a drive going here. Let's get the ball reestablished, and look, he's back in the game now. The Tasmanian Devil, Tassie Van Bell.
So you were worried about him being banged up with that ankle injury, yet he's behind Ethan Chambers here. Chambers going to throw a dart over the near side. Almost too hot to handle initially for Connor Marsh, but Marsh makes his third catch of the game.
Yeah, Marsh just, again, it's just a step off screen because they're playing way off. And now this is an issue, because the gentleman who's going off the field for the Beefeaters, for the Saints, we'll try this again. I'm going to get it wrong. I apologize.
Well, they were called the AKO Fratman for what, 30, 40
I started
years?
watching the Beefeaters play in
And
the
then
80s.
they
Okay,
were called-
when they played at Beck High School, and it was the Windsor AKO Frat then. Okay, to me, it'll always be the Windsor AKO Frat.
And the Windsor AKO Fratman, as I mentioned earlier in this broadcast, the last OFC team to win the CJFL championship run, that was back in the late 90s. London had an opportunity here at home to claim that kind of crown. Unfortunately, the Langley defense was just too much, as the Rams, for the first time in their program history, after being a bridesmaid, I think 5 or 6 times, finally won their first CJFL championship in the 113th edition.
Yeah, but my point was, before I started doing the history of the Fratman/Saints, number 20 was the replacement for the ejected player for the Saints. He just went out with an injury.
Yeah, that was Dolmus Lynch filled in for Billy Patterson Sr.
Yeah,
You're
so
right.
now you've got a new player playing on the island.
Chambers protected well, floods out to the left side, throws us one down the field, out to the intended target, Connor DiPotesta, but really not within the range for Connor to get that ball.
Great coverage downfield by the Saints. I got it right that time. By the Saints, and just really nowhere to go. And again, they have that guy scraping across, almost spying the quarterback. He can't take off. He can't get that first down. Good defense there by the Saints, forcing the punt with the wind as the wind picks up a little bit more again.
So 1:12 now remains here in the third quarter of play from Citywide Sports Park. 31 degrees at kickoff, but it's pretty much been a beautiful sunny game all Saturday afternoon turned evening. On this third down, A.J. Williamson is back around the 25-yard line. Takes the long snap, and again, sort of a low booming punt this time, handled by Tristan Rutherford. Rutherford cuts back against the grain, tried to go to the sidelines in front of his bench, and he'll be marked down at the 41-yard line.
Yep, Gammy Kazadi was in on the tackle. He was a player who plays on the island, a corner there as well. Really good job of coverage downfield. Again, something that these two teams have done a really good job of special teams play across the board.
So with 44 seconds left in the third quarter, this is going to come down to the fourth and final quarter of play. Dare I say, could we see overtime on our Saturday evening?
Oh, long weekend, long game. Why not, Fitzy's got nowhere else to go on a Saturday night.
Andrew Bush will hand this one off. It's MJ Marshall. Doyle spinning off of a tackle, and just like that, moves the chains. Got 12 yards.
Yeah, good. Again, just pad level with these Saints running backs, the St. Clair Saints running backs. Just really good pad level. They've always stayed low. I've not seen these guys go down on first contact at all today.
St. Clair fans are going to hate me for asking this, but were they called the St. Clair Fratmen the first year they moved over to St. Clair?
No, I believe that they were the Saints.
I
I
was trying to give us a little backdoor exit, but it didn't work. As MJ Doyle
Coming
Marshall,
back.
we've seen a ton of, oh my word, a trifecta of Beefeaters merge into him at the 50-yard line, knocking his bucket off, including Tyler Thompson, who has, I think I would start marking X's on my helmet for all those kind of hits.
Well, this is coming back anyway. Like this is a hard hit. He would have had close to a first down. Tyler Thompson and Kizadi were there to wrap it up. But
wondering
again,
if the initial flag was
back.
hands to the face.
This is coming back on, I believe it's a hold against the against the Saints.
Which I'm shocked because as MJ Doyle Marshall was actually springing out of the backfield, he got a kind of a high stiff arm. And I'm an old school guy, Ron. I don't see anything wrong with that. But in the new school of thinking, you can't get your hands illegally up in the face like that.
No, you can't. But I don't understand why it wasn't one more play. One more play. Yeah, they're trying to switch ends thinking it's quarter time. They got one more play here with the hold.
Quarter cannot end on a penalty to that note.
Was it first down or should this be second down here?
Well, it was a first down play before the penalty. But as you noted, the confusion is the fact that the quarter break whistle went, but it's not necessarily the fourth quarter yet. This will be the final play of the third quarter. That is, unless we see another pesky orange flag.
Yeah, but we're starting to see that, that the emotions kind of eroding some of the play here, and the chippiness that we thought we'd see is starting to come in here.
Bush sends his offense in motion, staggers back into the pocket, throws it over the top, incomplete pass. I believe he was trying to find Dante Lewis, but the pass was just eluded Lewis too far down the field.
Yeah, a little bit high for him, and again, the diminutive receiver who's got great speed, just a little bit high for him. John, end of the third quarter, nothing's been settled, nothing's been decided. 13's on the board.
Well, and the last time these two teams played each other, I know Saints fans are tired of me saying this, but it was the 2021 OFC Championship. And remember, St. Clair went 2-0 versus London during the regular season in 2021. Yep. And they were leading 3-0 at halftime, 5-0 after the third quarter, like it was a hockey score or something, and 14-0 late in the fourth quarter. All for it to slip away, starting with 1:49 remaining in the game when London got their first points via a touchdown, a stalled drive by St. Clair, and 2 plays later made it 14-all, and then a fumbled kick return allowed Leo Centino a walk-off rouge in a 15-14 final. And here we are, as I said, many moons and suns later, and yet it's a 13-all ball game in the fourth quarter of play. Second and a country mile, and I believe, yes, a time count violation is being called.
No, they called timeout.
Well, actually,
they're giving them the
one
timeout.
official said it was a time count violation, but now the other officials are saying, well, wait a minute, no, St. Clair called a timeout.
Yeah, they're going to give them the timeout before the time count. So
that could be costly at the end of this game, though. You burn a timeout with 14:33 remaining in the fourth just because of a time count violation.
Remember what the Beefeaters did earlier today to make the Saints use their timeout. Well, now you only got one left for the second half here. And what should be a really, really dynamic fourth quarter here, that timeout's going to be big, but the last thing you want to do right now is use a timeout coming out of the half or coming out of the quarter time.
I want to
tough.
quickly go to the Nicholas Group Mortgage Brokers box score after 3 quarters of play. It was Williamson and Knight going field goal for field goal after the first quarter of play. Williamson hit a field goal in the second quarter with 4:12 remaining before halftime to make it a 6-3 game. Dante Lewis got the first touchdown of this contest in the second half of play from, well, a country mile and a half out. LJ Dyer would respond with a quick gander of a run for a touchdown to make it 13-10. But then, once again, a Knight field goal tied us all up at 13-all. Second and long right now for Andrew Bush as he's got a trifecta to his left side. Bush steps up in the pocket, finds Dante Lewis. Lewis bounced off the initial tackle supplied by Jordan Wright, and then he's mauled by a plethora of white uniforms.
Yeah, again, what you've got to do, though, is you've got to wrap that up right away. The Beefeaters are looking for the hit stick rather than wrapping up, and it could you got to play fundamental football. You've got to wrap up on that. Stopped him short, but he
gets him back to the original line of scrimmage here, Ron, and with the ball at the 54-yard line, you would assume Preston Knight's going to boot this one away.
He's going to absolutely boot this away as we've got a 3rd and 10 from just about midfield, the 54-yard line. Now the Beefeaters, they're punting into the wind here. All going after the block, didn't quite get there.
Nick McKenzie catches this one in the air. To be honest with you, I thought a couple green uniforms were well within 5 yards, yet no flags on the play.
Well, good job attacking the ball there. And again, I thought they were within the 5-yard bubble, but really
angles
tight.
Can be deceiving.
Yeah, angles can be deceiving. It's all about leverage and angles. That's everything comes down to math, kids.
13:56 remains in this marquee matchup in your Week 4 of Ontario Football Conference action. Ron Ferwerda and Jonathan Urbanowicz happy to take you through. We got Alex Schleihoff on camera, the Constantines on graphics, and Daniel Fitzgerald handling all the production and directing. Doing an all right job there, Danny. Hang in there. As it is now, Chambers with the handoff. The Tasmanian Devil trying to spring off of a tackle, but wrapping him up like a cheap suit from Goodwill was Nicholas Malman.
Yeah, and you got a flag downfield. I think what we're going to do is we're going to have a hold against the Beefeaters downfield. It's a hold downfield against the Beefeaters. So, regardless, it's going to be 10 yards, or do you decline it and take the pretty much the loss of a yard on that?
So what would you say? Like Danny Fitzgerald, he's like the bronze. He makes the podium as far as there's Stephanie Melrose, there's Adam Melrose, and then there's Danny Fitzgerald. Is that how we're?
I think so, because we only have the 3 of them.
You still made the podium though, partner. Good job.
Yeah.
So with 13:37 remaining in this one.
How to show up there, Danny.
No comment.
First down and 20 here.
Ethan Chambers, EC8, rolling out of the pocket, chased down by a fellowweight. He's going to go for a run. Chambers threw this ball. It squirts loose, incomplete pass. And to be honest with you, Ron, maybe going back to that angle and leverage comment you were making, I thought he pulled a Brett Favre and threw that ball over the line of scrimmage.
He was really close. I'm watching it going, take your 10-yard, take your 5-yard gain and get out of bounds here. But, man, he was close to the line of scrimmage when he threw that ball.
So checking it out here on the replay, being hunted down by a fellow Aiden Brekovich. And he releases the ball, I'd say just, again, a hair before the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, it was close. It was really, really close. But, again, almost a really good job of, I think it was Nichols coming back for the ball there. Was the intended receiver, but again, fell to the ground. That's tough. You can't throw late across the body. When you're rolling one way and throwing it back across the other, you can't throw that ball late. That's dangerous.
Saints last drive had a 2nd and long, and what do you know? Beefeaters on this drive, 2nd and long. Beefeaters in trouble. Chambers ducking and dodging his way out of the pocket to the right side, and pretty much the same result as the previous play. Incomplete pass, trying to find the intended target that time, and John Baya, who we saw that kind of got banged up the original play of this game.
Yeah, good coverage downfield. Again, staying with their man. And again, this is kind of what we've seen all day. The blow for blow, so to speak. The body blow, the jab, the jab. No one's been able to really land that knockout punch. thought you had it early. The Beefeaters, they answered it. And ever since that point, it's kind of been that stalemate back and forth game.
Somebody's O has got to go in this battle of 3 and O's, and it's a battle so nice. We're going to do it twice, as 1 week from today at Acumen Stadium, it'll be the Beefeaters taking on the Saints. We flipped the script, though, in the home and away series.
Yeah, so this is, where I think the Beefeaters have had an advantage in the kicking game. Let's see if that can
Slight
stay on.
advantage, though, as Williamson fakes it. Is he going to
Oh,
hang
he's
on
got
to this?
some room.
He's
got
going to
the
keep
first down.
going. Williamson.
No, he's short, way short.
Hog-tied from behind by Nate Norton, the defensive back, which caused the turnover on downs.
High snap.
I thought that Williamson was just trying to give himself more real estate to punt the ball away, but he held on to it.
He held on to it because he thought he had a chance, but it ended up being like 6 yards. I forgot they had the hold. So I'm looking at it going, he's got a lot of real estate.
I knew
here.
he was well shy, and my thought is maybe those green Saints uniforms camouflaged into the citywide field, and Williamson didn't see the coverage up the field that took him out.
Well, there's the mistake then.
You were just complimenting me like he is the difference right now between him and Preston Knight. Well, I would flip that back on you right now.
Well,
Knight's got the advantage.
Well, one play game doesn't make, but in a game like this, one play could define it. So
3
let's see
run
what
to the
happens.
line. Bush hands this off. MJ Doyle Marshall through the pocket and more. A clobbering tackle by the Beefeaters on the far side, but not before Doyle Marshall does the job and moves the chains further into London territory.
Just feels like momentum has shifted now. There's a little bit more. To me,
I'm still questioning the Williamson decision there.
Yeah,
was that designed? Was that his own fruition? What happened on that play?
I don't think that's designed. Not on a 3rd and 20 from your 30-yard line. No way.
So now 11:50 remains in this fourth quarter. Dare I say the game, but if we're all tied up, maybe we'll get some extra football on your Saturday evening. Bush, knocking on the doorstep of the red zone of the Beefeaters, has a man in motion to the right side of the field. Is going to hand this one off again to Doyle Marshall. But this time it's Tyler Thompson getting on him, and now some pushing and shoving, some talking going on after the play.
Yeah, again, we're starting to see the erosion of good sportsmanship going away.
But cooler heads will prevail in this game, Ron.
Yeah, and again, it's just next week's going to be a bloodbath, so to speak. It'll be a physical because
way to keep it PG for the kids at home.
It's gonna be a battle next week. Not that this game hasn't been a battle or isn't going to be for the next 11 minutes of clock time.
After seeing 2 field goals in the first quarter, 1 field goal in the second quarter, 2 touchdowns and a field goal in the third quarter, we see a shovel pass to Dante Lewis, something out of the St. Louis Rams playbook, the greatest show on turf, Ron, gets them the first down.
So they fake the jet sweep, and Dante Lewis is the second man coming through on that, and they shovel past it or almost a middle screen it. So a really good play design on that. Get all the momentum going to the sidelines. What they're trying to do on that is get the linebackers to run out of position.
Was that Dante Lewis or Isaac Bruce out there, though? I don't know.
It was more Marshall Falk than Isaac Bruce.
Okay, either way, though, that's something out of the St. Louis, yes, not the L.A. Rams playbook from way back in the day. They went to 2 Super Bowls. Did you know that? They won 1, but then they had Tom Brady and Vinatieri kick one off on them.
And then they also they ran against a buzzsaw on defense, Rodney Harrison, just go up and down the list there. There's some fantastic football players on that Patriots Patriots defense.
Tied up here at 13-all. It is Bush right behind the line of center. Takes a snap. MJ Doyle Marshall, touchdown Saints. Who dat? Saints that. MJ Doyle gets the job done.
Yeah, again, just good job, good play design. They got him outflanked. They just tried to get everything inside, and you can't do that, kids. And good job of getting the leverage point and touchdown for the Saints as we finally the Saints leading in the second time.
9 58 remains here in the fourth quarter of play, and as a result, the Saints do have a 6-point lead, looking to make it 7 points on this PAT, which is good.
So, 9 minutes, 58 seconds left. Beefeaters. Every time the Saints have scored, the Beefeaters have answered with an equal reaction. So to keep this game going, but it just felt after that drive that a bit more fire in their step. Okay, I was just where they were lining up, I thought, are they taking the
games in this game yet? Every time they've taken the kickoff.
Well, you've got pride in your return teams. Why not? You think you have an advantage on there. So what you try to, you've got to get the ball beyond the 35-yard line, or this doesn't make sense. That's because that's where the ball is going to be spotted. Otherwise, it's going to be spotted on the 35. That's your point. Okay, let's see how this comes out. High kick, Johnny.
Running in to catch this one for the Beefeaters is number 34. That's Bailey Lynch. Well, he's thrown down at the 36-yard line, so they are saying Preston Knight missed the PA. Very bizarre when you consider he went 11 of 11 on PATs last week against Quinty, 1 of 1 against Hamilton, and again 11-11 against the Quinty Skyhawks.
So, yeah, I thought, on the field goals he was kind of hooking everything a little bit to the left. He was able to squeeze the last couple in. I thought he missed the one previous to this, but, this one is the one that they'd say that he missed. 19-13.
Yeah, his first missed PAT could be Chambers. Empty backfield, throws this over our sidelines, is the inbound. Well, they catch that. They are saying it's a catch. Mitchell Spence keeps at least one paw down on the green turf and moves the chains.
So that's the levels. So what good job pressing it. The DBs jump down, and he just finds a spot in the Beefeaters.
Sort of an overcast of shadows on the Citywide Sports Park field with the setting sun to the western sky. Here, Tate's over to that right side. They're going to hand this one off instead to Taz Van Bell, who stutters out of the backfield and picks up about 7, well, they'll call it 6 yards.
That big run off the right-hand side as we see extracurriculars closure in a game like this. 8:57 left in the fourth quarter, down by 6. Good gain of about 6, maybe 7. I'll give them 7 yards of the way.
Especially if you're a Beefeater, knowing that you're down by 6, you got to touch his job. You got a 1-point lead.
Looking down here for the Beefs.
And to the Nick McKenzie once again swagging up. And they're going to say he got 5.
This is what we would call a Dave block. Everyone's got a man on. Hat on hat, really guys going. A good gain of about 5.5 yards. I didn't really like the spot. I thought he got beyond that. But okay, ball's on the 45-yard line. Check that, 50-yard line. First down for the Beefs.
7:40 remains in this game. Beefeaters down by 6. They swag 2 to the line. It's a handoff to Taz Van Bell. Van Bell spun around at the line of scrimmage. Still moves his forward momentum for 3 yards.
Yeah, good gain of about 3 or 4 yards on that. Again, could have spun off. You know, Tazzy is a smaller back. He is got great speed and everything else, but he doesn't have quite the same power that the other guys did. As we see Nick McKenzie coming off the field for the Beefeaters. Not sure if he's being told to leave or what's going on there.
Well, because he's having a bit of a there's a trainer behind him. I don't know if you can see that attending to him.
Is it a blood timeout?
I don't, or if it's his jersey or a tape. Oh, there was a towel. A towel was involved, Ron. So Nick McKenzie staying out there, to your point.
Okay, well, I'm not sure then.
There's some with a towel. Training
Something
staff
with
was trying to get him a towel.
Water went out.
Hey, that's
out.
Everybody needs water at this point of the game.
Absolutely. Second down, and we're going to call it a short 7, long 6.
So a 19-13 game. The second down places up the field.
Really close to a first down here. Same play. It's almost like a counter run, and they are going to call it.
Wow.
It's a first down.
By about half a yard, they're going to give it to him.
Yeah, so again, this is what they would call broke. You know, you're hitting the ball off the right side now. Lean on it if you've got something going, but watch for the shot because the safety's coming downhill on a scrimmage.
Chambers takes the snap. Another run play. The Saints up on it, but it's the will and the way of Taz Van Bell to at least.
So we're going to have second down and about 8.
You could see the green uniforms, A, reading the play, B, penetrating the line. If it wasn't for the great strength, if you will, of Taz Van Bell to the backfield, that probably would have been a tackle for no gain.
Yeah, he's hard to get a clean shot on because he's so shifty and he's so fast.
Sidelines. Flag is thrown. The intended target on the play is number 13.
Obstruction to come downfield.
That would be Nick Biani. Or Biani, I should say.
Yeah,
flag was thrown past interference.
Here's the high. Here it is. See, he's obstructing him. He literally runs right in front. Here it is at the top of the screen. See how he just turns around and just kind of leans into it. He can't do that. He has a right to the ball, just like he can't do a yard penalty, and it's a Beefeater. First down.
Huge play allows the Beefeater. With 5, the Chambers takes the snap, settles it down, but again, penetrate, kind of waiting for a pass play, or at least a play action, because the Saints are reading run.
Well, and that's, you know, that's what they're doing. That's been the story of this game. Gain of 2 on the play. It's going to bring out. I just see it coming. You can kind of feel it. You know, if they keep creeping up like they are, they've got 11.
Is incomplete.
Incomplete.
Winter
4.
So down by 6, and you would say get Will out there and cut the lead in half.
Well, Williamson is out there, so
Fake a punt run.
I don't think that was on purpose. That fake punt. So that's just I'm not saying, but this is definitely they're going to line up for the field goal on this.
So as a result, it is Williamson trying to make his 3rd field goal of the game. This one is up, and it is good. So to your point, Ron, they do play it safe. They cut the lead down to 3, and with 4:32 remaining in the 4th quarter, the Saints will get their offense back onto the field with the lead still intact.
Yeah, and again, you're counting on your defense to hold strong like they have all day. But the dangerous passing game of the Saints, look for something play action. If they can hit a play action pass here, and guess what? They're taking the ball.
Wow, they finally listened to the clock, getting it right twice in the day.
Well,
After going 2 for 5 last week against the GTA Grizzlies, 1 of 3 from 40-plus yards out. Pretty big bounce, kid, knowing that he's hit 3 so far in this game. He's on his feet, though. Against the by NZUT.
Okay, so we got multiple flags on this. As well. I think we got 3 flags. I think we got a crackback block downfield, and maybe I don't know what the second one was.
Well, that especially in the Canadian brand of football, when you dedicate to go right and then all of a sudden you go whoop and change direction and go against the grain, it almost seems automatic that penalty flags are going to start flying.
Yeah. So what you see, if you at the start of the replay there, you cannot block towards your end zone in the backfield, like right there. Okay, so that is an illegal block. That's going to be the 10-yard variety, but I don't know what the other flag downfield was on that. So I think this is going to be 10 yards back against the Saints.
What I always thought was foolish in football, too, is shouldn't the original penalty just be the lone penalty? Unless it's an objectionable conduct or something silly like that. But
depends on how the continuation was.
But you know what I'm trying to say, though?
Tackle or something else.
But my point is if you call it down on the first penalty, it won't allow second and third penalties to happen further down the play.
But you have the option of taking to the 2 penalties, which one you can accept.
Correct.
So if there's 2 fouls against the offense, you can decide which one you want to accept. If one is beyond yards gained and one is not there yet, so it makes a huge difference. Especially if there's a turnover or something on the ball as well. Because then there's a flag on the original point, but the continuation of the play was something completely different.
Well, they're going in the wrong direction, that's for sure right now.
So it was the crackback block. You cannot go towards, it's a 25-yard penalty. So you've got the crackback block and a hold is what I'm being told. But regardless, as an offensive coach, I don't have a lot of first and 35 plays.
I think I got a longer drive home. We're going to move off to the left side. But once again, the Beefeaters smart. Look like Dylan Clair.
Thompson, we've called his name so many times. As we can see, follow the linebacker going out there.
Now
Virtually no gain.
Talking about penalties, Ron, in that 20-6 victory over the Hamilton, worth of penalties on 17 different plays.
Yeah, you know, you've got to clean that stuff up, passion. But you've got to play with your head. You've got to play composed football. And what happens there?
A line
trying to get yards. You're still going to be short of the original line.
And makes the Saints defense have to stand tall in the next coming plays.
So the ball timeouts for the Beefeaters, one timeout for the Saints.
Correct. Remember, they were facing a time count violation with 13:44.
Okay, so
sun setting
this is
here
why
in
you
the
kicked
Forest
the
City.
Field goal earlier.
But as the sun setting on this game, knowing that we're one field night, get these two teams played.
A safety?
A 15-14 OFC. Preston Knight is allowing the clock to wind down. Now, is he trying to just evaporate? Are they playing a field positioning battle here, and he might take the safety in that timeout?
No, so we're going to move it back 5 yards.
So they purposely wanted to waste the clock down to 2:32.
So now they're going to take the safety.
Jeez, I don't know if I agree with that decision, though, Ron.
So you're not burning.
Correct. As far as clock man, coaching overall issue which is they're going to give up 2 points down by 3 and give up possession. It's not the Preston Knight snapper or kicker. In fact, it's Hayes Williams dancing into the background.
He just wants to chew time up. That's all he's trying to do. That.
Oh, are they gonna?
No, relax.
So he went to a knee, though.
Yeah, but
I don't know. That seemed a little cheeky.
You go to a knee when somebody's a half yard away from you and you can't stop momentum. So now, Coach Snyder, do you have them kick or do you take the ball to 35?
So a safety with 2:22 left in the fourth quarter brings us to a 1-point game. But as I, matured and learned more of the sport, I go, well, earlier in the games, it weather conditions, field position. I don't know if I still, to this day, multiple decades later, agree with that decision late in the fourth quarter. Why? Because you're giving your opponent points that they don't deserve. Two, you got to give them the possession back anyway.
Okay, but what you're doing is you're playing the field position game at this point.
But we're not really windy right now.
Okay,
Mark.
but no, it's with 2:22 left. You've killed 40 seconds virtually.
That's true. They did do that. I will give you credit
you've got
there.
40 seconds off the clock, or 38 seconds. My apologies. You've given
past
up
the
2
3-minute
points,
warning. That's right.
And then the Beefeaters are not going to be fielding the ball at the 50-yard line. They're going to be most likely fielding the ball about the 30, 35-yard line.
The only thing, though, is how did they start this game? With a 99-yard kick return.
I understand. You roll the dice. But it's the smart play in the Canadian game because you can score in so many different aspects and different avenues.
Oh, like
Remember,
a walk-off rouge?
Like a rouge, and it means red, and it's a single point.
But in Quebec, they call it a single.
Yes, they do. Now,
As down and grab the pigskin.
Wow.
You think about how the Beefeaters won the UFC championship was on a fumbled kick return.
Run.
But the ball just sits in the middle of the field.
Run. Punt. You force the timeouts here, but if you get a first down, you're pretty much dead.
So
the Beefeaters.
The ball is the 40.
They time counted.
Flags flying.
They time counted.
Now remember, Saints still had one timeout.
Calling time count violation. So on
second and 10. Bush to Marsh. MJ Doyle Marshall. Submission. Bailey Lynch would not allow the running back to go any further.
No, and again, good job, good penetration, called timeout.
It looked like Bailey Lynch was doing a Scott Steiner impersonation with
yeah,
that.
Yeah,
well, they were both Michigan State boys.
Oh,
Well,
not get state and up.
So 2:15 remains here in the violation within the final 3 minutes of the game. Results in a loss of down. That's Plexico bursting yourself. And then they weren't able to get MJ Doyle Marshall out of the backfield. They actually go back 3 or 4 yards. And with 2:15 left on the clock, they're going to punt the ball back to the Beefeaters after getting a fortuitous kickoff. Preston Knight.
Here we go.
High booming kick. Preston Knight was knocked down to the ground. There's a potential roughing the...
Okay, but are they saying, is it the 15-5? What are we looking at here? And we got a late flag on the bench as well, I believe.
Preston Knight, I looked back after he kicked the ball. He was on the turf, on his keister, looking at the official going, well, where's the call? And the flag came out right after that, I assume.
Is there a flop call as well?
You don't call flop on the punter.
Somebody has if you fake it and you don't get it, there's a flop call.
Get touched. So this a major part of the game. The officials with a penalty flag. Looks like roughing the... Now there's another...
running into the kicker. The bench. As you see the flag on the far side.
Was that St. Clair arguing for the call? Maybe
third down here.
Wow.
Okay. Makes a huge difference. Roughing is the 15-yard variety, and it's the automatic.
Well, like you said we do it all over again here with 2:03 remaining on the clock. Preston gets this one away. They don't touch him. Nick McKenzie, the linebacker known as Keon Gratton.
That was a great tackle downfield, breaking down, wrapping up, running through the tackle. Yeah.
They start this drive off at the 11. 99 yards. 1 minute and 53 seconds left on the board.
One timeout.
And dare I say, a Rouge can't walk it off, but a Rouge could tie this game and send us to overtime.
So you realistically need to get to the 35-yard line.
Well, we saw Williamson hammer a punt about 40 or 50 yards earlier.
So you need
game.
about 55, 60 yards.
So
That's
here
what
you
you're
go,
looking at
Beefeaters fans, down by 1 in a 19-18 scoreboard in a battle of 3-0 teams here in the OFC. Ethan Chambers takes the snap, fakes the handoff, rolls out to the right side, throws this one downfield. Incomplete pass, trying to find Nick McKenzie, who is in double coverage. Do you like that play decision?
Well, you've got to pass
Your
the ball.
long sigh says no.
I don't like the particular route combination, but that they've got something. They've only got so many pass patterns that they're comfortable running and everything else. So it is what it is. I would really, as the Saints have backed off, they've got their 2 high safeties now.
Yeah, maybe we see more Taz Van Bell and LJ Dyer to try and get some yardage.
You don't have the time for that. I think you've got to pass it. You've got to get some type of slip.
Connor Marsh in motion. Chambers protected in the pocket. Is Chambers going to run here? Throws the laser beam.
He's caught
trying
that.
to catch
That's
it
a
off of
great
the carpet
job.
is Nick McKenzie.
Yeah,
the Saints are saying he trapped that, and the official says he caught it at the 38-yard line.
That's I want to see the replay on this. This is virtual. His arm. This kids. Okay,
well, that's the big thing. As long as the ball isn't commandeered off.
His arms are absolutely under that. He cradles that all the way in. Catch.
Both Stephen Gwinnett as well as Nathan Tiskwitzik did not believe so, but regardless, it brings a catch by the fan on the near sidelines. He might be the new Tyreek Hill in that Miami Dolphins hat.
It could quite possibly be. So, again, nobody downfield.
Very Tom Brady-esque. Didn't see anything and went, you know what? Throw this one out of bounds.
So here's a big difference. That's one of the rule changes that's happened in the CFL. You can throw the ball when you're outside of the tackle box. You can throw the ball as long as you get up beyond the line of scrimmage, throw it out of bounds, reset it. So you can absolutely make that play. So smart heads-up play, not allowing to be tackled in the play, and stops the clock.
2nd and 10. Chambers takes the snap out of the shotgun. Sort of a sidearm slant throw to Nick McKenzie up to the 40. It's a gain of only 3 yards.
So they're trying to hit that crosser. You've got 3rd down. Game on the line here, Johnny. You still need
7 yards.
Yeah, 7 yards here.
7 yards decides this game on your Saturday night with 1:21 remaining on the 4th quarter clock. Saints 19, Beefeaters 18. They need 7 yards, does London, to continue this drive. 2 run to the line. They try and get the Saints to bite, and they did.
They got him.
They got the Saints to bite on the play.
5-yard penalty stops the clock.
So they get a free 5 yards out of it. It'll remain 3rd down, though.
Now, I know people are going crazy, but because he crossed the line of scrimmage, it's an automatic whistle. Play is over.
So as a result, as Ron's trying to explain officiating to fans watching him dearly here at Citywide Sports Park, they pick up 5 yards. Remains 3rd down.
But stops the clock. Huge. 108.
The same situation remains true, though, London Beefeater fans. You needed 7 yards last play. You need about, they're going to say 2.5 right now on this play.
Heck of a game here, though. This has been a really well-played game.
A rematch of the 2021 OFC Championship dance. 2 run to the line. Chambers rolling back. Chambers throws this ball in and out of the hands of the intended target. Incomplete pass. He had the ball and he lost it. Ian Wilson out of the backfield. Turnover on downs.
Turn it over on downs. That's unfortunately That's going to be the pretty much
with
the ball game.
1:03 remaining on the clock, is there any chance of the Beefeaters finding their way back in this one?
You still got one timeout
Correct.
in your pocket. So you got to stop. You call timeout. 20 seconds. You know, you're going to be getting the ball at your, like, inside your 10 with
15 seconds maybe,
10
if
seconds
you're lucky.
left.
That's if you can stop the Saints, who are probably looking to get the first down and get out of the Forest City with the victory and remain the only undefeated team in the Ontario Football Conference at 4-0. Bush right behind the line of center. Watch out for MJ Doyle Marshall. That's who got the ball right now off to the left side. Gains maybe 2 or 3 yards. 56 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, and now that's their last timeout. So timeout against the timeout Beefeaters.
So not only do you have to stop them on these next 2 plays, though, Ron, like you mentioned, 2 plays probably wraps out 40 seconds, plus the punt would bring you down within 16 seconds left, and you'll be way back in your own side of the turf.
So you're going to take the time count. You're going to run the clock all the way down. You're going to take the time count on third down because then they have to move it back the yards. It's not a change of downs. They're going to move it back at that point. Punt the ball. So they'll be punting the ball, say, from midfield. Beefeaters will have it 15, 20-yard line with about 10 seconds left by the time the punt is received and returned. So they'll have 100 yards to go with 10 seconds left.
That's if everything goes to plan, too. You know what?
That's if you get the stop. That's the first thing you got to do. You got to get the stop.
So unbelievable that they actually tried to go to Wilson.
Fullback.
Ian Wilson out of the backfield. He had the ball between the bare mitts and it butterfingered out.
Yeah, you know what? It's unfortunate.
He needed 3 yards, Ron, if he hangs onto that ball.
He's got the 3 yards,
it's a
plus
first
a
down.
whole lot more.
Andrew Bush hands this one off. This time it's 23 out of the backfield, and he's awfully close to the first down marker. If they have the first down, it's the ball game, folks. The officials are saying first down Saints, and that should just about do it here in week 4 of OFC action. After beating the Quinte Skyhawks twice and beating the Hamilton Hurricanes, it looks like the Saints win the Battle of the Undefeateds and will move to 4-0 over the London Beefeaters.
This was such a good game. Let's do it again next week.
In Windsor, why not?
In Windsor, absolutely.
At Acumen Stadium between these same 2 teams. Last time these 2 teams played each other, it came down to 1 point. Andrew Bush hands this one off yet again. There's a late flag on this play.
Okay. You got a cut block, though. You can't. You've got a cut block against.
Was that against Szymanski, who's down on the ground right now?
No. It's against Windsor, so it's coming back.
No. But what I'm saying was it performed on Szymanski, who's down right now? That's what I'm trying to say.
They high-load him.
So it appeared like this game was completely over, especially after that last MJ Doyle Marshall run, who averaged 9.6 yards per carry. But, Ron, if you are right about this penalty, it may just crack the door of opportunity open.
So, are they saying multiple fouls?
28 seconds left on this 4th quarter clock.
They're calling unnecessary roughness against London. But, okay, 28 seconds left to go. You're going to score a touchdown. They're not saying that they cut him.
We'll see it here on the replay there, Ron. So it might have been a London guy that actually did the cutting there.
No, it wasn't.
You didn't look at the replay, brother.
Okay, well. Well, you know what? 28 seconds left to go. This is being a hell of a ball game, John.
Andrew Bush trying to quarterback sneak this one into the end zone, and they do. Why would you do that?
Because if it comes down to, if London goes down to Windsor and wins next week, it comes down to point differential,
No,
head-to-head.
My point, Ron, is all you have to do is knee the ball out, and this game is done. You've scored a touchdown, up by 1. You're probably going to kick a PAT. That's an 8-point difference on the board.
9.
No.
You're up by 1. 7 is 8.
Yeah, sorry. Now you're catching up to my math here. That's
bad.
right.
My bad.
So my point is you're giving London an opportunity that never should be there. That's what they're doing right now.
With a 2-point conversion.
That's right.
Oh, man.
I mean, it's very tall task. As the PAT is good. So now you have.
But with 2:38 last year, down 14, it was a tall task, and it happened.
But it's a 26-18 game. I don't know why St. Clair would have done that because, again, they're giving London an opportunity they never would have had if they just went into victory formation. Andrew Bush gets another rushing touchdown on the season, but to me, it's like shooting yourself in the foot. I don't get why you would do that. Like you said, if this comes down to these two teams tying in records, you go down to who scored more points forward, more points against, and especially the mano-a-mano matchups become so huge. I get what you were saying there, Ron, about, hey, get the points on the board. But not in that situation because with 26 seconds left, London has just a little
It's the old fall down at the
whimper,
1 yard line. Don't
hope,
cross the line. Just don't.
whisper, whim of a prayer to try and tie this game up. Whereas, again, 2 knees by Andrew Bush, and we're already off to the locker room.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So
I am slightly confused, but yet, if the Beefeaters somehow score a major in the next 26 seconds, I'll be very surprised and happy. Not necessarily as a Beefeaters fan, but just for the fact that, like, if you give your opponent an opportunity and they burn you on it, it's rightfully so. Again, I'm not a football coach, folks, just a broadcaster, but the math doesn't add up in my books. With 26 seconds left, the Beefeaters are now down by 8, and it's a squib kick on the carpet, picked up eventually at the 30-yard line by number 7 and Ben Regier. So 21 seconds. Ethan Chambers goes back out there, and I guess if you're a Beefeaters fan, you're kind of wishing you had a Hayes Williams on your side of the field.
I think you got a couple of potential targets for the Beefeaters. Let's see who can come up with the ball. You know, we've seen stranger things happen. We have absolutely, in this rivalry, we have absolutely seen stranger things happen. But we're going to see 5 guys going across the back of the end zone or playing defense here in deep coverage for the St. Clair Saints.
21 seconds left on the board. Beefeaters down by 8. It is Chambers in the shotgun position. Chambers sends 2 to the line to the right side. Looks over to the left side. Pocket's collapsing. Chambers is going to run with this ball. Less than 15 seconds ago, Chambers is trying to get out of bounds. He slides.
It's beyond the first down, so it resets. Clock resets.
Still chewed up 9 seconds to pick up 14 yards.
Okay, but Ethan needs about another 15, 20 yards before he can really unload it. I'm not sure you got enough time.
11 seconds left. Chambers fires a dart. Nick McKenzie catches this ball. Stays on his feet, though. He should go down.
Stops the clock.
First down now at the 48-yard line, they'll say officially. So 48 yards. 49. Nope. 3 seconds left in this game. Potentially the final play of the game. London down by 8. Ethan Chambers, as the buzzer goes in the background, buys himself some time, launches this one deep. It's into triple coverage. Intercepted Saints. Stephen Gwinnett with the nail in the coffin. The INT finishes the game, and now we get some pushing and shoving after this one.
Late hit on that against London. You can't do that. You got to play with composure. You know, you can absolutely not do that stuff. But hey, you know, you get to do it again next week. It was a heck of a ball game and a little bit of redemption for the Frat.
Yeah,
for the Saints.
Well, after losing the OFC Championship in their home barn last November by 1 point, well, they were only leading by 1 point until that Andrew Bush touchdown. They finish up with an 8-point lead and a 26-18 final. The Saints beat the Beefeaters, and they remain your lone undefeated team in the OFC with a 4-0 record. London drops to 3-1, but as you were referring to, Ron, as the greatest line in all of sports, doesn't appear to be forming at midfield. I don't know if I agree with this partner. Is it ready to shake hands? London's having their own little huddle.
Well, I think that they're telling them just to everyone relax, settle down. Let's go shake their hands. Let's go play, be classy, and end it in a good way.
Well, hopefully they do, but it doesn't appear. Well, now London is coming out.
Yeah,
so
they're
to your
just
point,
telling
they
everybody
are.
to settle down.
Okay. I was a little worried there that there wasn't going to be some sportsmanship shown after this epic OFC battle here on your Saturday night.
You know what? This was a great game. Let's call it what it is. This was a well-played game by two very, very good football teams that realistically, let's be honest, will probably be playing each other later on in the season. That is no disrespect.
Well, either in the semifinals or the finals.
Right, to the Ottawas or the Hamiltons, who we haven't seen Hamilton yet this year. Okay, let's call it what it is. We haven't seen them. But if this is your OFC final, either one of these teams could represent very, very well.
So final thoughts on our broadcast here, Ron, knowing that these two teams are going to hook it up again at Acumen Stadium 7 days from today.
Well, you've taken each team's best shot. Have a good week of practice. Let's make some adjustments and see you next Saturday.
Before we go, this is the Nicholas Group Mortgage box score. It was a safety to bring it to a 19-18 game after a Williamson field goal made it 19-16. And then Andrew Bush with the touchdown run at the very end of the game gave the London Beefeaters an opportunity. They got to midfield, but the interception by Stephen Gwinnett ends the game at a 26-18 score. For Dan Fitzgerald, the Constantines, Alex Steihoff, as well as Ron Ferwerda, I'm Jonathan Urbanowicz. This has been OFC CJFL football action on Beefs TV. The Saints win 26-18, but these two teams will meet each other again next week.